Boom! And we're live in a new place. We're live in a new place. In a new place that is completely barren of stuff on the walls. Completely just, we're working on it. Actually, what am I doing? I should probably tell people to get in here. That might be a good idea. Just a thought though. New room? Yes, new room. We are in a new room. It's we moved into a new place. That's why we've been so busy. And the room is still, as you can tell, coming together. But I bought some new posters and stuff. Let me get this. Like, let me message people to join. Let me do that. I feel like that's a good idea. Where is the... You're the only one here? You're not the only one here. You are not the only one here. Hold on, I am trying to be intelligent and remember how to share the link to it. I think I just gotta go to YouTube. Go to YouTube. Boom, 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 boom. Get shareable link. All right. Go here. Go here. And boom. There we go. What's up? How's everyone doing? It's been a minute. It's been a minute for sure. How is everybody doing? Oh, also, here, we're gonna try something. I set it up so it's like a multi-chat thing. So now it's also a transparent chat in the corner. I'm new to doing this, and I try to set it up so I can go live on Twitch at the same time for people who prefer that platform. So I'm gonna try that right now. And we're gonna find out together how this goes. I'm gonna click the button, we're gonna see if it works. Wait, let me open Twitch before I do that. This is uncharted territory that I have no clue how it works. Whoa, new location. Yeah, new location. And the walls are completely barren. We're working on that. I'm gonna show you. I have some posters that are starting to come in now. So we're actually gonna decorate. We're also gonna get better lighting for the room. You know, we're not gonna really delay doing things here until for everything to come together perfectly. But the light up here is a different temperature than the one behind me there. So my goal, actually, I bet I can do this. I bet I can lower this. Am I making it a little bit better right now? Yeah? I don't think that did anything. I think that did nothing. I'm pretty confident that did nothing. It's been so long! I know it's been so long. It really has. It really has been so long. And I'm also noticing that this chat isn't working, which is wonderful. I thought I finally figured it out. We are so back. We are back. We're in a new place. Walls are barren. Full of hearth. MTV cribs. Yeah. It's a new crib. I'm going to try to click the go live on Twitch button and we're going to see what happens. Let's find out what happens. Connecting. It says it's running. It says it's going. I'm going to drop a link in the chat to the Twitch live stream. And I need you guys to tell me if it's working. Oh my god, it says I'm live. It does. It does say I'm live. How do I share? I've literally never done this. I have no clue what I'm doing. What am I doing? How do I share this? Because the average stream bitrate is too high. I don't know how to fix that. Watch the YouTube live stream crash. Is it gonna crash? I also love how I try to do this fancy chat thing, and it's not a cool rocket launch metal poster that can be provided to you at a 50% discount from a certain friend in California. Just saying. Yeah, I don't know who that is though. Fortunately, I have no clue who that is. So it's not like we know who that could be, and we don't know anyone that could provide that. We don't know anybody that can do that for us. So it's like, what are we gonna do? I mean, what are we gonna do? I mean, let's be real. Nobody can help us out with that. So there's nothing we can do about that. My hair's still so wet. It's like it doesn't want to dry right now. Hello, Dewar. Hello. And I'm really wondering why this chat thing doesn't want to work. It was just working. It was literally just working. People sent 3 messages, it grabbed them immediately, and now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, no, they were done. We're checked out. That's really all I got for you. Like, what? What are we doing? Do I have to like refresh this? I got no clue. I tried. Listen, I tried to set it up so I could have all the chats in one place. That was my goal. That was the goal that we had here. And it seems like that we did not accomplish that goal. Hello, Benjamin. Thank you for the questions already. We're going to get into some Q&A in a minute. We're going to get into some Q&A. We're going to do a little bit of Q&A, and then we got a guest coming in today. And that guest is going to be talking about their work in particle physics. Yeah. We're going to talk about particle physics today. Because it felt like last time a lot of people were asking about questions related to particle physics. And I was like, I feel like we should just have someone who does particle physics on and have them talk about what it's actually like to work in that field. Can you give some advice on being a particle physicist? Yeah, we're actually going to do a lot of that. We'll stick around for when our guest shows up soon, and we'll be doing that. Right now, I'm trying to figure out why this shit isn't working. I don't even know how to like. Here's the greatest thing, that I don't even know how to like share my stream. I like couldn't even tell you the link. Do I gotta go to like a separate account and find it? Is that what I have to do? Like I'm sure it's just a standardized link. I'm sure it's like, oh, it's probably just like twitch.tv/ blah blah blah. I really feel like that's just it, right? Right? See if I can find myself. One person is watching. I found it. Yeah, that's all it was. Okay. We're gonna do this then. I'm gonna go back into Discord. I'm gonna go to the announcement. I'm gonna edit it. I'm gonna put the Twitch link down. Boom. Okay. People, I'm gonna put the link in the chat here. And I need you to tell me. Loved how it gave me a first time chatter. Thank you. I'm glad I'm a first time chatter in my own chat. Does the YouTube chat see that? That's what I'm wondering. What I am wondering is if YouTube chat sees that. Because that's what it's supposed to do. what's supposed to happen is that YouTube chat is able to see. No, it didn't do that. Technical issues. Yeah, I know, Cloud. Okay. Go there. Tell me if that looks good. It says taking instead of... Arrow, I have no clue what you're talking about. I have literally no clue what you're talking about. It says talking. And it said talking. There's nothing else. But it looks like I have to... I gotta go do just... I'm so confused. Dude, I don't know how to operate on Twitch. I have like no clue. That's the best part. Does it work? Oh my god. What does it look like on the Twitch one? Somebody tell me what it looks like on the Twitch side. I need to know. So the Twitch side is working? So the chat looks great on the Twitch side. That looks just fine on the Twitch side. It looks... So like, is the title the same? But is like the title the same? And like, is there like a description stuff? Does he have a category? Or is all of that stuff not set up? No title. Here's the best part. I don't know how to change that. Edit stream info. Oh, there's a giant button. There's literally a giant button that says edit stream. Okay. Just chatting category. Tag, stream language, content classification. None of that. Brand content. Done. Boom. Now is the title. Okay. Awesome. My channel description. All right, I think we're good now. Okay, but let's talk about actual stuff because we're being boring. So I've been a little MIA, right? I've been a little bit MIA. I have not been here as actively. I have not. The quality's way better than on YouTube. Interesting. But I've been a bit MIA. And if you're wondering why I've been a bit MIA, that's because I have been doing a lot of different things. So let's go over a little deep dive into what's been going on. And what's been happening is that I have done a few things. Number one, I'm in a new place. If you can't tell, I have recently moved into a new place. So we've been trying to figure out the moving stuff, getting people in one place, getting people out of another place, stuff like that. So that is kind of what's been going on there. And we've had other little adventures that's been happening throughout the last few weeks. We have, number one, we went on our first backpacking trip. You know how not an outdoorsy person I am? Like, not very outdoorsy. But I went on a backpacking trip. And I did it was only like a 2-night trip. It wasn't that bad. But it was up in the Colorado mountains. And I got so altitude sick from that trip. I was throwing up the whole time. It was bad. It was actually so bad. It was like the first night we were below the trailhead. We were like 1,500 feet below the trailhead. And it was like, oh, let's we're gonna, what do you call it? We're just gonna camp here, and then in the morning we're gonna head up. I was told before going on the backpacking trip, they were like, you gotta make sure you force yourself to eat food. Because if you don't eat food, then you're gonna feel horrible. I look outdoorsy, maybe because I live in Colorado. I didn't grow up doing a ton of outdoorsy things. I also really want to have this chat be fixed so it keeps showing YouTube stuff. But it appears it's not gonna do that. Seems like it doesn't want to work. It gives me this link. And that's literally... Yeah, I have no understanding. I have absolutely no understanding. Yeah, the chat is just going to be fully messed up, and it only seems to want to work for the Twitch chat. So that's super cool. That's like awesome. But yeah, so we woke up the next morning and I was like, I need to make sure to eat a lot of food. I need a lot of food, obviously. And I'm moving the chats over so I can just have them in front of me. I was like, I need to eat a lot of food in the morning. So we had this big breakfast burrito, and I ate the breakfast burrito. I ate the whole thing. And then when I ate the breakfast burrito, where's the particle physicist at? He's gonna come in like 10 minutes. We're just doing a little chatting, and he's gonna be here very soon, very very soon. But yeah, I ate the breakfast burrito, and then we immediately got in the car and we started hiking up to the trailhead. When we got to the trailhead, it was like all of a sudden I just felt horrible because we were now at about like, I don't know, like 8,000 feet, which isn't that bad. Like 8,000 feet is really not that bad. And we got to 8,000 feet, and I just started feeling insanely altitude sick, to the point where before we even started the whole trip, I threw up. Like I just straight up threw up, which is crazy. I can't believe that like before it even started, I fully told myself that I wasn't gonna be able to do it. I was like, there's no way I can do this. We haven't even started the trip yet, and I'm already throwing up. Oh, you're all good, Arrow. Happens. But you know, it was like I thought I wasn't gonna do it. I fully was like, it's not happening. I'm giving up. This is it. And then after I throw up, I feel a little bit better. So I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. We're gonna go on this trip. So we do the hike, and I learned how insanely horrible my cardio was. Like so bad. I was dying walking with like 15, 20 pounds on my back, and everyone else around me had so much more weight on their back, and they were going so much faster. I was actually, it felt like I was like the liability. Like I was the weak link, you know? Like I was the person where it's like if there's someone that comes to attack us and they need to sacrifice one person, they're like, we have to throw away the weakest link. And at that point, I was the weakest link, and it's like you go to the wolves. That's what it felt like. So it was pretty bad. It was definitely pretty bad, and I suffered that whole time. The views were absolutely immaculate. Actually, let me see if I can even pull up some photos of the views from that trip, because they were cool. But yeah, I went on a backpacking trip, and that took up one of the weekends, so I didn't stream that weekend. And now you come to the next weekend. Now it's like, oh, why don't you stream again? I think I had something going on one of the weekends. Oh, I was moving. So then I was moving. I'm moving into a new place. And now, obviously, I'm like getting ready to move, doing a ton of stuff for that. I'm moving. I'm still not like fully unpacked. Like I have, like there's nothing in this room. There's absolutely nothing. So I was basically unpacking, getting situated, moving, doing all this stuff like that. And that's been taking a while. That's a lot of time moving to a new place, get everything set up, especially when it's like I have like a lot of technology stuff that needs to get set up. That takes a while. I think my camera's like slightly tilted. Maybe that's a slightly straighter. But so we did that. And then last week, I was in Ottawa. I was in Ottawa the whole week because I was at a research conference. And that's something I'm trying to learn how to do vlogging, because I feel like that would be cool. So it's like, I'm trying to vlog. I'm trying to learn how to vlog. And I tried to vlog that conference. I also did some vlogging the backpacking trip. I tried to bring equipment, but that one definitely didn't go amazingly because I was sick the entire time. It's like hard to turn a camera on and just talk about your day when you feel horrible. So that was that. But yeah, we did that. We moved into a new place, and we were at a research conference last week presenting. So I was in Ottawa all last week presenting on stuff. But that one, the research conference, I did vlog that one a little bit better. And I'm going to definitely learn a lot from the editing process. I'm working on editing that one together right now. and I hope to put out something showing people what it's like to be at a conference, because I think a lot of people think these research conferences are like boring, they're stupid, or they're just like all work and it's not anything much, but it's honestly it's just more fun. It's just more fun than it is work. So I think that's an important thing to point out, is it's just all fun. So yeah, that's kind of what I want to show. But now today we're having a guest, and we have a guest who's going to be talking about his research in particle physics. From last time, for anyone who's new here, a lot of you were talking last time when I had Krish on, and he was talking about his research as a theorist. He was talking about how there were a lot of questions related to what it was like doing research in other fields, especially around physics, obviously, because that tends to be the focus here. And a lot of the questions in like the more general like physics questions that were being given were particle physics related, and obviously me nor him know how to answer that, because it's like that's not our field. But I was like, what if we get someone on that does know how to do particle physics? What if we do that? That might be a good idea. We might be able to have a good conversation about that. So that's kind of what we're doing today. And he should be here soon. I will let me probe. But yeah, right now I'm in a new place, and the everything here is barren. Like the walls are barren, the lighting is shit, everything is bad. But we're starting to get posters coming in because we're actually going to decorate this place. We're actually going to decorate this time. So these are posters we got. We have a poster. Look at that. We got an Empire Strikes Back poster. Isn't that sick? Isn't that a cool poster? We got that one that came in. And we also got, oh, it's upside down. Look who's here.
What's up?
And we also got a Spirit Away poster. So we have that. So we have 2 coming in. We have more that we're getting. But that's irrelevant now. Hello.
What's going on? I'm missing me from here, should I?
Well, hold on. You can see, like,
okay.
Ish right there. Here, the mic is here. I'm gonna try to, like, bring it in. So it's, like, between us. We got great taste in posters. Thank you. All right, everybody. Our guest is here.
What's going on, guys?
Everybody, this is Jared. Jared, I know you, obviously.
Yep, of course, for a while now.
For a while.
Over a year, right? Or almost a year.
Almost a year. We're almost at our 1 year. Oh, I love how it just lost connection to the chat.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, I don't know how to use this thing, and it's not going well.
Oh, it's your first time?
Well, I tried to do like a multi-chat thing because I have it on live on Twitch. I tried to do a Twitch stream plus doing a YouTube chat. So that was kind of my objective, is to be able to do both of them at the same time. And then there's like apparently plugins that let you combine the chats and show them all together, but they don't like me right now. It says there is a major I think the entire program.
Wait, so does like the chats still work individually, or like how does that?
Yeah, well they're like you can see the individual ones here.
Oh right, okay.
But then I had the whole thing up here, and I was gonna show that, but I'm kind of thinking that I abandon this now, and we just go back to. You know what? I'm just gonna leave it. It's reconnecting.
Huh?
Whatever. Let's get started doing things. Okay. Hello everybody. If you don't know who I am and you're new here, I'm Dario. I am doing my PhD in physics at CU Boulder, and I like to talk about what other people are doing in research. And today we have a guest in particle physics, because a lot of you guys were asking last time random questions in physics, and for some reason they all tended to revolve around particle physics. So that's kind of like what we wanted to do today. So I'm here with
Jared.
Jared here does research in particle physics. So so you do research in particle physics, but that's a very broad term. That's like a general field. Like what kind of research are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm on the experimental side of things. So I guess for all fields really, there's experiment and theory. So on the theoretical side of particle physics, you have people that essentially do a bunch of math on chalkboards, probably what you would normally think of. and try to theorize, different particles and equations for them. I'm on the experimental side, so what I do is that I essentially look at collisions of particles, which I'll give more detail on in a second, but I look at uh, results from collisions of particles, and we try to see if the theories that the theoretical physicists propose, if we have some data that supports those theories. And yeah, so I guess that's a broad overview of the experimental side.
So I feel like when people have a thought, or then they're like, when they try to think of like what physics is in general, it feels like people always end up naming questions that are in like high energy physics, particle physics, and those kinds of things.
Right.
How would you say, is your research like the YouTube videos that a lot of people see, or is it different?
I would say it's kind of like, it's a lot more niche than what you would see on like a YouTube video. Like, I guess like I do research for the Large Hadron Collider, which I'm sure people have heard of before.
The one at CERN?
The one at CERN.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess more YouTube videos would be more like describing how that works, and like, the proton collisions and how all the particles fly out and things like that. So I look at specific data from those collisions, and in my research, for example, one of the models that I'm looking for is, it's a dark matter, a potentially dark matter theory called emerging jets. But essentially what I do is that I look at the data in the way that the particles look like when they come out. So for example, how far away they are from where the protons collide, how much energy do they have, things like that. And we can do a bunch of statistics with that to determine if we have evidence for a new theory or not. So yeah. I guess it would probably be more specific than what you'd see on
Are you saying when you say you're looking at a specific model, like, does that mean for like a specific particle, specific models you say, or?
Yeah, so for like the one I'm looking at, emerging jets, or I will be looking on emerging jets. I haven't really started that thesis work yet, but essentially there's new particles that are inherent with that model, such as like a dark matter mediator, for example. Mm-hmm. So essentially, if we find data that supports that model, then if we have enough statistical significance on that, we can say, oh yeah, there's these new particles that exist, and they describe this model that happens to describe dark matter.
I see. I would say something more broadly that I hear a lot about the field of particle physics is, in like high energy physics in general, is that it's way more collaborative, like overall, than like any other field. Is that true? In like what ways?
I would say so, because it is a pretty big collaboration. I think there's around like at CERN like 2,000 or something, but at least when you go to the detector itself, like eventually you end up meeting everyone there, most people there, and you end up working with them on like a bunch of different projects that you end up doing, or when you collaborate with different universities. Like even like when I came here, for example, I did my undergrad at Rutgers, and I ended up I have like weekly meetings with people that I knew at Rutgers. Mm. So I would say eventually, especially like in this kind of field, because I guess it's all of us are kind of working on the same experiment, really. If you work on it for long enough, you end up meeting a lot of people and collaborating with them in different ways. So I guess in like that sense, it's definitely a lot more collaborative than other fields could be, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And you went to like what? You told me that you went to like one of those camps and something. In what was that? Like you got like a free trip out to Fermilab,
right? Yeah. It's like a data acquisition school. So it was like a week of learning from a bunch of experts in the field about different data analysis techniques and how to look for different particles that come out of the collisions. Mm-hmm. And then at the end of it, we gave like a presentation to everyone that was there. But yeah, there was a bunch of like the really, I guess, like higher ranking collaboration people there. Mm. So that was also a great way to network and meet a bunch of different people. And I've even last week there was a workshop here for CMS and I had met a bunch of people that I met at the school that I did back in January there. So
that's sick.
See that. Yeah.
No, that's sick. But, and so I guess we should even take another step back. How did you even get into doing physics in the first place, and then decide that it was particle physics or like high energy that you wanted to do?
Yeah, so when I first went to Rutgers, I was originally planning on doing computer science, and then I started during COVID, and from the first computer science class that I took, I didn't really have the best experience. I thought it was, I enjoyed learning it, but I felt like I prefer more like applied things. And I guess I always in high school I took AP Physics, for example, and in the back of my mind I really always enjoyed doing things like that, especially since the way that my AP Physics class was taught, it was about doing like a bunch of experiments to derive different equations, especially for like classical mechanics stuff. So that was kind of always in the back of my mind. And then I decided, maybe I'll give intro physics classes a shot at Rutgers. So I did that the second half of my freshman year and my sophomore year as well. And then my sophomore year, I took one more advanced class, and that's where I met my advisor at Rutgers. And it turns out that he did experimental high energy physics, so that's kind of how I got into there, just kind of by chance. But it turned out that it was like a really perfect combination between like doing a bunch of interesting physics stuff and then also using computer science as well, like a lot, because most of the work I do again is data science stuff, which is coding and writing algorithms to analyze data and things like that.
And that probably brings up another point, like how I was brunching with Krish last week, is that in theory, you can be home a lot doing work.
Right.
And you're an experimentalist, but because it's high energy experimentalist stuff, you also can be home a lot and you can kind of work from wherever you want, right?
Exactly, yeah. So I'm in office around 2 times a week, mostly for meetings, but yeah, it's kind of like how you would imagine a software engineer job, where it's mostly just coding stuff, so you really don't have to be on campus if you don't want to, but I think, again, it's good to go every once in a while when you can, just to be there. And but I guess eventually once I go to Switzerland, then that would involve me doing more detector related stuff. And for example, like usually when if you're in the field of experimental high energy and you work on the CMS experiment, most grad students end up going to the LHC for the Large Hadron Collider, at least for a little bit, and you can do more hands-on stuff there, which is called running shifts, where you essentially get to see all of the different monitors of the beams and things like that, and it's pretty cool. You can
it feels like it kind of feels to me when you describe that like it's like a NASA control room,
kind of,
but
yeah,
it's for the collider.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what it is.
That's like really. So when do you get to go? So you basically get a free trip to CERN is
Right.
what the summary of like all of that.
Yeah.
And when are you gonna get to go live in Switzerland?
So hopefully once I finish comps 2, so the end of second year, I'll be able to go there.
Comps too. Yeah, I don't think people are too familiar with like how the PhD track works. So, like basically end of your second year.
Yeah, end of second year. Maybe I guess it depends on the funding, but I think for our current situation, we should have more than enough to do trips there. So
that's so cool. Someone's asking here, like, any specific advice for undergraduate research slash life in physics? I'm an upcoming physics undergrad at Boulder. Nice. With transfer credit and I feel a bit lost in the program. All right, so someone who's at Boulder right now, like what,
yeah.
like how would you get into research? Like how did you said that you just? I feel like everyone has the same kind of story. You were kind of just like, oh, I just reach out to somebody and then.
Yeah, so for me, it was in my classes. I really liked one of the professors I had, so I was like, I just went up to him and was like, hey, like I'm interested in doing research. If you have an opening for an undergraduate spot, I'd be happy to work for you. And originally he actually said he didn't have a spot, but I ended up talking with him more and he said he'd give me a chance, and I ended up staying with it. So but there's other ways besides talking to like a professor in class. I mean, especially at CU, right? There's CU Prime, for example, where
oh yeah, do CU Prime
you can meet a bunch of, I guess there's a bunch of grad students there, right? So you can always talk to grad students. They can let you know if there's any opportunities in their specific groups. Even if you're in class, if you're in a physics class with the professor, you can also ask them to see if any of their colleagues would potentially have spots in a field that you're interested in. But yeah, I guess that's 2 ways that I could think of. Do you have any?
That is like that's the main thing. Why does it say there's a major outage? What are we? There's no
more warning message on the side though.
Yeah, it actually fixed itself. Here, I can just do this real quick. And now ignore it. All right. So since you're specifically at CU, I mean, I can tell you join CU Prime, and I would say especially at a school that has a larger program, whether that's physics or any other field, whenever there's a very big program, I think it's very easy to feel like lost and just wrapped up in everything going on. I would recommend to anyone in that thing is joining a research lab and getting into some kind of smaller, that's like join a club, join some kind of research lab, like something where it gives you a smaller group within the larger group. I think that's a great way to get a better sense of community, and that's the way I would think about it. But then we had another question of like what's undergrad research like, and now I would view that specifically for you. What was, because you're doing graduate research now, but how does it, what was the undergrad research like, and then how does it differ now that you're a grad student?
Yeah, so when I first started, I kind of had no idea what I was doing for, especially like the CMS stuff. So a lot of like the first, even like year or so, was just reading a bunch of stuff about how the CMS detector works, getting better at coding, Python, C++, things like that. And then once, I mean, yeah, it took around 6 months to a year, but once I got more comfortable with that, I was able to do, I mean, the work, at least for experimental high energy, if you're an undergraduate, it's definitely going to be a little bit less interesting the way you can do as a grad student, because you're more so helping the grad students of the group with what they're doing. So doing like smaller tasks, but still obviously very important. Like my group in particular wouldn't be able to function without undergraduates.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get to the graduate level, it's a lot more, you're kind of pioneering your own experiment. So like I'm writing most of like the major code for the stuff that I'm working on, and I'm collaborating directly with postdocs in the group as well. So, while it's still, I guess most of undergraduate is getting into the specific field that you're working on, or even just exploring too. Like I know a lot of people they would start in a group and say, maybe this isn't for me. I prefer more hands-on, and then they can go into a different field and work with that. So yeah, I would say undergraduate's more about like figuring out or trying to figure out what you want to do. Of course, not everyone goes into grad school knowing that the field that they want to do. But yeah, mostly getting the feel of things, and then seeing what works best for you, and doing smaller but very important stuff in the as well. So
someone said, I want to publish papers in my leisure without a particle physics or without a physics degree. Is that possible? I don't think it's really that possible without having. It's very hard to publish a paper without the support of someone with a PhD.
Yeah.
Or at minimum, you having some kind of qualifications in the field. You can't. I also have no clue how you would just leisurely publish papers. It's very hard to do new research, and I don't think even after getting a PhD, if I'd be able to just solo something. Like I feel like you need like the people who are the professors that have like 40 years of expertise to be like, oh, that little thing that you're doing that you've been caught up on for a month, I saw that 20 years ago and I got caught up on that. And it's just do this. And you're like, what? Okay. That happens to me all the time.
Especially for like experimental stuff too, because you have to have access to like a bunch of different resources that like the university provides, for example. So I guess maybe like theory, if you're like
you could, if you're like insane theory, if you're just absolutely sauced, then I guess like sure. Like maybe you can do, it's happened before, but usually even then you don't just leisurely publish them. You usually do work and then you send it off to someone who is very qualified in the field, and you get them to read your paper. Right. And there have been situations of those things happening, but that's like insanely rare. And that's a lot of times I feel like when I see that happening, that's in like pure math research.
Especially like nowadays. So like I feel like back then it was probably like much easier to get away with stuff like that, but like because we like know so much now, I feel like it's just getting harder and harder to kind of go off on your own and discover something.
Yeah, someone said, any advice? I'm starting my physics PhD in the fall. That's sick, dude. Where are you starting your PhD? I mean, I guess for me, I would say your first years are going to suck a lot more than the latter few years, and that's what I'm learning. But I would say it also depends what field to cater the advice. Oh, you said experimental physics or theoretical physics. Which do you think is better? I mean, you're asking two experimentalists what field they think is better.
Yeah, Christian.
Yeah, Chris isn't here right now, so we can say whatever we want. But I think experimental is better on a funding side.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's way better funding. Like if you are worried about, or UC Davis, sick. If you're wondering about like what you're gonna have funding wise, if you want to have larger lab groups. There's a lot of different variables that go into that. Larger theory groups can a lot of the times be a lot smaller, with exceptions. There's definitely exceptions.
Right.
But a lot of experimental labs can tend to be a lot larger. But not your lab. Your lab is pretty small.
Pretty small, but we also just had a grad student leave the group and one just graduated, so
Yeah.
It should get bigger, but especially like now with the funding stuff too, it's probably, I think most groups are tending to get a little bit smaller at least.
Someone asked, were you both dead set on experimental physics? Would you say you were dead set on experimental physics? I'm getting rid of this chat. It's just being stupid.
I was. I get that's just for me because I did 2 years of it in undergrad, and I was like, this is something that I want to take to the next level and kind of do my own research on, not just be like the undergrad who like works on a bunch of different parts of it.
No, that's fair. For me, I did theory in undergrad. Actually, I did condensed matter theory. So I did work on like Josephson junction. So it was kind of a lot of the theory on the fundamental devices that make up quantum computers. That was my undergrad research. And for me, I did the theory work, and I was like, this is cool. Too math heavy for me. I want to like see things being built in front of me, and I want to like work on getting tangible numbers for results. And for me, that drove me away from theory into experimental stuff. So I actually went from theory to experiment. And way more people are experimentalists in the end, but it's really what you're passionate about. If you really want to do theory and you're really like dead set on theory, don't let yourself get swayed to experiment. Because in the end, the PhD is going to be a marathon. And if you're not happy doing what you're doing, you're not going to get through it.
Yeah.
So.
But I would say, I guess for grad apps though, you do want to probably specify something. Is that what you did for your grad apps too?
Yeah.
You want to specify something just so you're not like wishy-washy when the people are reviewing it.
Yes,
but once
absolutely.
you get into the grad school, then you can kind of branch out and decide.
I think that's actually fantastic advice that I completely forgot of. Yeah, when you apply to the grad schools, or when you, let's say you're going through your bachelor's, you finish your entire bachelor's degree, you now are getting your physics degree or whatever related engineering degree or anything, and you're applying to a PhD program. This applies to anything. This doesn't apply to just doing the field of physics. Even if you don't know exactly what you're doing, just think of maybe what would be best, put that down, and really make it sound like you know you want to do that field. And then when you get in, you can always branch out. You can always branch out from there. But they're not going to want someone that looks like they have no direction of what they want to do. So you got to look like you have some kind of direction of what you want to do. But then once you get in, you have flexibility. It's like, oh, I don't like working with this lab. I'll switch to this lab. That kind of happens. Sometimes engineering fields don't have as much flexibility in switching labs as the hard sciences do, but I know at least in hard sciences, people are switching labs all the time. We had someone that joined my lab recently that just decided they wanted to do a side quest in another lab, and then they came back.
And there's like programs too where you can like rotate through groups as well and figure out which one of those that you like the most. So there's always, at least in physics, they're very supportive usually of trying to figure out what group is going to be the best fit for you. Because at the end of the day, if you end up doing a PhD for 6 years in a group that you're miserable in, it's not going to be a good time.
Oh, for sure.
So you definitely want to figure that out.
Oh, absolutely.
Before you definitively decide which group you want to do your PhD in.
Guys, I'm gonna plug my Twitch channel real quick because I just decided to try to at least go live. Just give it a follow. You don't have to watch on there. Just follow it. I'm monitoring both chats. Just give it a follow. And if you're new here and you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe so I can keep doing more of these things. I can keep giving you guys more advice on what it's like to do research and do cool different things. But yeah, someone said, do you have any advice on applying for like REUs and stuff? Did you do an REU in undergrad?
I applied for them, but I didn't get it. I would say it's generally a good thing to apply for them, especially ones that you're interested in. For me, at least, I was really only interested in doing one, which is where you got to do a trip to the Large Hadron Collider. So that one's pretty competitive. I didn't end up getting it, but that was the one that I applied for. But I'd say in general, like you want to apply for a good amount of them because even for like your grad apps and stuff, that's the person you work with. That's another very strong letter writer that you'll have, and you'll get a great experience working on something that's outside of your current undergraduate research. So definitely would highly recommend applying for this.
No, absolutely. I think that's a fantastic point to make. It's a weird. Doing REUs is a really cool thing. I will say from the other end, I applied to them and I was able to get into some. And I would say the best thing to do is reach out to people. I think finding who the program coordinators, finding the professors that are in the REUs that you would love to work with, sending them an email. They might never respond to you, but likely they're going to see it. They're just going to like see your email. So then when they go through all those applications, they just are like, that name looks familiar. That guy emailed me. So when I'm picking through 10 different people, this one guy emailed me. I may have never responded to that email and he doesn't know that, but that worked. I was able to get into REUs at universities and national labs. And it was doing that kind of process. And also, the best way to get into REUs at other universities is to start by doing research at your university. I got rejected. I did 2 years of applications at REUs. The first year was before I did research at my university. I got rejected from every single one. Then I started doing research at my university, and then I got into REUs at other universities. So it's kind of like you don't have to go for broke immediately and go for like the other REUs. But I think another point I want to make, you didn't do an REU, and I did REUs, and we're still both at the same place.
Yeah.
So I think that's another, because it's REUs are hard to get into. And I think that's another important point to make, that for other people, if you don't get into an RU, you're not screwed.
Yeah, it's like, not a big deal at all. You can still do great research at your school without being in an RU. So.
Yeah, and you got and now you also, like, let's talk about like when you did your applications, like you got into Berkeley, right? And you chose to go to CU still.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Berkeley's like a very good school for doing particle physics, and the CU is also a good school, and it's like it doesn't matter. Like you can do all these things. You can have L's, you can have W's, and it'll work out as long as you just keep putting out good research. And you're gonna need those good rec letters. So definitely make sure that you do some kind of research with someone for a while, so they will really want to write you a really, really good rec letter. But what do you prefer, IJK or XYZ hats for unit vectors? That's kind of a funny question. What would you say? XYZ? I feel like I do XYZ too. Like IJK is, like I had a period where I did IJK, and it feels like I'm being fancy. But like XYZ is, it's like it is just XYZ. Like
exactly, yeah. Like, I think IJK is like the math version, right? Like I feel like in my math classes in undergrad it was always IJK, but like in E&M it was XYZ hat.
Yeah. Oh, I do like this question from Bubbles there. What's your favorite thing you've learned so far in grad school? Do you have an answer for that?
Favorite thing I've learned so far.
It could be about life, or it could be a fact, or it could be anything.
I would say, I guess, like, considering the fact that I chose here over Berkeley, when Berkeley is like a top 5 program, is that I think choosing the school that you think you would be happier at rather than focusing just on the name of the school, I guess is a good general principle in life as well. Just do what makes you happy, because I feel like here, for example, I've been outdoors way more than I have growing up in New Jersey. I've met amazing friends here, and I'm overall just really happy here. And I honestly don't think I would be as happy at any of the other schools that I was applying to. So yeah, I would say that's probably the number one thing that I've learned going here.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of give the same answer, and that is quality. I've learned that from undergrad, it felt like that I was just doing work always. I was constantly doing work, and my life was nothing else but work, and no one cared if I wasn't doing, like, no one cared about me, and it was like, just do your work, build your resume, do whatever you can, and that was that. But now it feels like finally in grad school, they do care about me. They give a shit about me as a person. The professors talk to you much more casual, and the life is, you're able to have a life outside of your work, but that still comes with being in a good lab and being a good place where you have things that you want to do and you want to live. So I would definitely say that was a very, very big thing that I learned here, and something I didn't even realize until I got here, that I made a good choice on that kind of that aspect. So I would definitely say that. Oh my god, gravity switch, $1. You don't have to do that. Appreciate it. So you get one big boom. Boop. Shift your camera to the right.
That looks, yeah, it's more centered now.
That's a little bit more centered.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, I would definitely say that, like, choosing a place that you'd want to live, and in being in a lab that you are going to be happy in, and they treat you like a good person, and being in a place that you want to live is something I learned in grad school is super important. Very, very important. Even more important than the name of the school you go to does not matter as much as the group you're in and the work you're doing and the place you get to live in. The school, the name does not matter. I cannot tell you the amount of people that are in our program that are all people that got into MIT and decided not to go to MIT. Mm-hmm. Like, there are an absurd amount of people here that did that. And some you right there be like, what? MIT? Like, that's just like the name that I know. Like, how do you, if you get into MIT, how can you not go to MIT? Because it doesn't matter as much when you get to this level. Yeah. Like, you don't have to just have like that name brand school that everyone knows the name of. Like, yeah, when you go talk to your family, they're probably not going to know as much of what's going on, but it's like, that's not what matters in the end.
Especially like a lot of those schools too, like especially for particle physics, a lot of the groups, like, there'll be like 20 or something graduate students at a time. So I feel like you kind of feel more like an undergrad as a graduate student at a lot of those schools as well, and it's a lot harder to like contact your advisor about things that are going on with their research compared to like here where it's like, oh yeah, I can just send my advisor a quick message and they'll respond in like 2 minutes, you know. So there's also that aspect of it as well. And a lot of like the bigger, more prestigious schools, that tends to be the case where it's more like you're kind of out there on your own doing research than like being in like close contact with your advisors and stuff as well. So
Yeah, absolutely. Is there an upper limit on the booms? There's not an upper limit, but don't give me money. There's not an upper limit, but please don't donate. I don't need that. Do you think there could be a lane for someone coming from theology, philosophy background into physics? You really do need that solid foundational math background. Like it's hard to transition without like just a fundamental math background. Like you can switch from any field you want to any other field. You're just going to put in the work to get the fundamental knowledge you need to do that field. I would kind of say that. Match the space from your shoulder to the edge.
I think it's still a little bit off center.
We're just gonna deal with it because there's just a lot of stuff in the corner over there, and we're gonna leave it.
Okay, fair enough.
Let's see. Do we have any other questions? Oh, I guess maybe let's ask a broader question. So you do research, right? How many hours would you say a week you're doing research? And then what do you think? How much time do you feel like you have to live a life outside of that?
At least I have a lot of free time, honestly. I would say I probably hover around like 20 to 25 hours a week, but it depends on like how much I have to get done. If I'm like preparing to give a talk at like a big meeting, then I might do like around 30-ish just to like make sure I understand everything and get as much results as possible that I want to show, and all that stuff before the meeting starts. But yeah, I'd say 20 to 25-ish on average, and I'm able to get my work done in that time. And outside of that, I have plenty of free time to do like hiking, backpacking, camping, a bunch of outdoor stuff, and then obviously skiing when ski season starts. So yeah.
But you have time for that.
Oh,
you have time to, and I think you have time to have a life outside of your work, which is a great thing, because I don't know about you, but in undergrad, I didn't have time to have a life, and it feels so refreshing being in grad school, and like you're busy, like you're still super busy, but comparatively,
oh yeah, it's night and day. Yeah,
it's completely just night and day. But someone said, how pragmatic is it to plan on doing research in or part-time while doing a job? I guess I can just answer that one. I would say it's not a big deal. I mean, if you can get a professor, hardest part is getting a professor to let you do it. Just try to do something where you don't have to physically be in the lab all the time. That would be like doing something like, like experimental high energy, or doing like theoretical work, something that doesn't need you to be in the lab constantly.
But I feel like a grad student, though, I think most PIs would advise against having another job with research, but I think you definitely can find some that would allow it.
Yeah,
at least like in my group, that's how it is. Like we're not really expected to like get another job with the research. It's kind of just we're mostly meant to just focus on the research while we're doing the PhD.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get a job after that. But.
Absolutely. Here, since I assume we have a bunch of new people here now, so let's talk about what is your focus in particle physics again. I know you touched on it briefly, but like what is the most like layman's term, like broad overview of what you do in your field?
Yeah, so I guess I can describe like briefly how the detector works. So essentially, I analyze data from proton collisions. So at the Large Hadron Collider, which is in Switzerland, I'm sure many of you have seen pictures, but it's just like essentially a big circle, and then around that circle you have beams of protons that fly around at nearly the speed of light, like 99.999% of it. And then once they collide, because there's so much energy in the collisions, a bunch of particles fly out in all different directions from those proton collisions, and you can get a bunch of different particles: pions, photons, hadrons, really anything you could possibly imagine pretty much in the standard model comes out of those collisions. And what I do is I look at the data that comes from those collisions, so particles, momenta, energy that's missing, which means there's neutrinos that are flying around somewhere, and we do a bunch of statistics with that data, and we try to look for different models that theorists propose. So we can say, okay, we can impose these different criteria on the data that we observe to see if there's any data that falls into our theory model, and if we see like a significant amount of the data that falls into this new physics theory model, then we can conclude that there is potentially a new physics.
This is something I hear a decent amount. Like I saw this with like the mu1 G2 experiment that I heard about a while back. There's this concept of like statistical significance a lot in like high energy to make new results because you're getting so much mass amounts of data. Like what do you mean by that? Like, so the theorists build this map, and then you are trying to see if you can get enough data to pave that path to the result.
Right.
And what do you mean by this like statistical significance?
Yeah. So what I mean by statistical significance is that to make a discovery, or to claim a discovery, I should say, in experimental high energy physics, you have to have a 5 standard deviation excess from what you'd expect to see in your data, which is 99 point something percent, but like,
so it's like stupid high, like, but there is like a threshold.
There's a threshold.
Okay.
But it's like, I think it's like 0.00006% chance that what the excess that you see, or like I guess the excess that you see with respect to what you would expect to see, is not just a random fluctuation, that it's really this new physics model that you've been searching for. And that's, I mean, because it's such like a strong statistical significance, you really rarely ever see these big new discoveries being made. Like the last one is like the Higgs boson, for example. That was like the last big major 5 sigma significance. So
what is the overall field of high energy physics? Like what are the big milestones that everyone's trying to work towards right now?
I would say supersymmetry was kind of like the big wave, at least since the Higgs was discovered. There hasn't really been much found in that regard, so it's mostly now shifting towards dark matter searches. I'd say it's a pretty big thing. There's a whole bunch of different models, but I would say, I mean, I guess in general, dark matter is really the number one goal, just to find some sort of theory that describes how it works, because again, we still don't know, and it makes up like 27% of our universe. So dark matter, dark energy, I guess too, although I don't know how much of that is within the CMS experiment, but I know there are some high energy experiments that are looking for dark energy as well. So I would say those 2 things are probably the main goals right now of what experimental high energy physicists are looking for.
Do you have a favorite particle? I feel like people need to know if you have a favorite particle.
I don't really think about like a favorite particle, but maybe if I had to pick one, I would say the top quark, just because it's such like an anomaly compared to the other particles there.
Why is the top quark such an anomaly?
Because it has a very high mass compared to the other quarks.
Is there any significance that is like unknown of why that's the case, or?
Well, it is. So it's a 3rd generation particle, which means, so it's like electron muon tau particle, for example. So the higher generation you go, the more mass it has. But I'm not sure if there's a reason why it's so anomalously large. I'm not 100% sure if that's been I guess discovered yet. But I would say if I had to pick one, that would be my favorite
one. Yeah. So that's interesting. What would you say like one of the very weird things that are going on in particle physics are? Like, I know we talked to some other research about people trying to do stuff with like neutrinos. Do you know what's going on? Like, what are the significance that people are looking at with like neutrinos?
I would say probably like neutrino oscillations, or trying to pinpoint what the masses of the neutrinos are, because I'm not an expert on this, but I believe right now all we know is the mass differences between the neutrinos, but we don't actually know what the values are of their mass. We just know that they're very small. So I guess that's a kind of weird or interesting thing. Like currently, a lot of the neutrino physicists are trying to pinpoint what those exact masses are, but it's weird that like you only know the differences between the different flavors of neutrinos and not their exact masses.
Yeah, that's interesting. Would you say what would you say is the background of like that you had to have taken, like, to get into this?
To get into like particle physics?
Yeah, like what kind of math background have you needed to get, and what kind of background do you keep needing to get? Like the math background, the physics background, and then when you get all that background, what do you actually use in your research?
Yeah, I would say so. For the research itself, at least like the programming stuff, it's very minimal math. I mean, obviously I still do math. Like I still like code equations for finding like the different components of momenta and stuff, and the detector coordinates and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had to use like calculus or anything like that in my research really, nor like anything like super math heavy. But I think eventually, like to kind of like conceptualize the models that you're working on discovering, like the dark matter models, for example, like that you visualize with Feynman diagrams. It does help to have like a somewhat of an understanding of quantum field theory and things like that, just so you're able to explain it better. So I'll probably end up taking quantum field theory class just so I have a better understanding of what I'm working on. And I'm not just kind of like, oh yeah, here's the model. Like I don't really know how it works, but I'll do some experimental stuff to see if there's some statistical significance there. But I would say like just for doing the research, you don't really have to have an extremely strong math background. But it doesn't hurt to have it.
But you still, like, you're planning on taking next semester like quantum field theory, right?
Yeah.
But then when it comes, so you have to get this extensive math background to get into the field still, but then when it comes to doing the research, you don't end up using all of it, which I think is a funny thing that I experience a lot too, is that they're always having me do so much like theory and math background and stuff, but then in the end, if you're an experimentalist, you don't necessarily need all of that. It's important to know that it exists,
Right.
which is probably why they make you do it, but you don't need to necessarily always, like use it all.
Yeah, but if you're doing theory, obviously, then you have to have a very strong math background because a lot of that's just doing math all day and like.
Theorists always ruin the curve.
Exactly.
They always ruin these curves in exams.
But yeah, for experimentalist stuff, generally, I mean, I guess it depends on the field, but you won't have to use nearly as much math as the theorists have to on a daily basis.
Here's maybe a good question I can answer. People want to dismiss science, etc. I find it sad. What can be done to promote a scientific future? I think a good way to do that is by indirectly looking at the problem, by doing things exactly what we're doing here. Like you're looking at two completely normal people that just happen to be doing research in the field of physics. And I think bringing more attention to the human aspect of research and getting people to understand the people behind research, like just showing you that we're just people. We're not some super secret government spy things. Then I think that can help build more trust within the people that aren't within the scientific community. So they have less skepticism and they understand that the people doing this research are also just people. So I think that's a good way to attack that problem.
I agree.
It's an indirect way of answering the question. But are you taking any more comp sci in your PhD since you use it so much?
It's a good question. I'm currently trying to get into a machine learning class that's in the comp sci department, but I'm on the wait list, so we'll see how that goes. But eventually, I do want to take that at some point because I do. I'm gonna have to use machine learning once I start my thesis work, so I do want to get a better understanding of that. But I guess worst case, if I can't end up getting in the class, I'll just read through some textbooks and stuff, which should be enough. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to do some more comp sci as well.
So you obviously you need a lot of like comp sci background. Would you say that you've built that comp sci background mainly just independently because you got into the research and it was kind of like, oh, just learn it?
It's kind of starting by doing. Yeah, like C++, Python, I've used it for the past 2-3 years in my research, so I kind of just know how to do most stuff now with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think for coding in general, it's kind of just way easier to learn it by actually coding stuff rather than just like watching YouTube videos on it. So
yeah. How do you do particle physics without doing quantum mechanics at the same time? You do, right?
Yeah, I mean, the quantum mechanics stuff is more the theory aspect of it, I'd say. There is, like, of course, there's quantum mechanics involved with the model that I'm looking at, but as far as, like, what I'm doing, I'm mostly doing just data analysis stuff, which is just looking at what comes out of the detector and analyzing that in different ways. So there's no, I guess the stuff that I'm doing isn't really quantum, but it's based on theory that has a bunch of quantum mechanics in it.
I see. And I guess maybe let's talk about this again. Let's go back to what are you looking forward to the most in your PhD, or maybe what are you looking forward to most when you go to CERN?
Um, I
From a
mean,
fun side and
fun
a
side.
technical side.
Technical side, I'd say just getting to see the detector in person and like looking at all the different parts that like I've read about so many different times
Mm.
and seen pictures of. So that would say from like a technical side that, and of course just meeting all the great people that work there and all the scientists there as well who are like so knowledgeable about the detector and everything that happens there. From a fun side, I would say I've never even been to Europe before, so just living there is I feel like it's gonna be awesome. But definitely skiing, Alps is probably what I'm
Do you
most
want to ski in the
excited
Alps for sure?
about. Yeah,
Are you like you're like super like you're like on the Alps, right? Like 'cause it's Switzerland, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so it's just.
It's like right in the
Have you
middle.
already have you scouted anything of like the closest resorts and stuff?
Not from where I'm living, but I know like of like the famous places there. So yeah, I'm already trying to figure out what runs I'm gonna want to do.
What have the more senior grad students told you about going there that they're like, you got to do this, or like this is super cool?
Okay, first skiing and hiking are the two.
Yeah.
Um, I think just because it's so accessible there to go to other countries in Europe too, just like taking the train around and seeing all the different like Spain, Italy, Germany, places like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've gotten so many recommendations to just try to see, in addition to Switzerland, as many of the other nearby countries as well possible. So I'll also be trying to do that as much as I can.
Someone said, when both of you in your undergrad start reaching out to get into research, should I be concerned that I haven't reached out much yet going into freshman year? I mean, no, definitely not for freshman year. When did you reach out? You mentioned that before, but
First semester, like the end of the first semester of sophomore year, is when I first reached out to my advisor, who was my professor in one of my classes. I would say, sorry.
no, you're gonna finish.
It's probably going to be very hard to get research as a freshman. I know it can be done, but I would say it definitely helps to have some of your physics class, like at least your core physics classes as an undergrad finished before you start reaching out. But,
Yeah. I mean, I would say you can reach out literally whenever you want. And I reached out the end of my sophomore year was when I learned that you can just cold email people and reach out, because I think it's amazing that I didn't know that, and so many people don't know that you can just cold email a professor and be like, "Can we talk about your research?" and then just get into it like that. Like it's that easy. It's an email away.
yeah.
It's just an email away. It's so free. And I have a video on how to get into research. If you're interested, it's on my channel. So that's like a more in-depth discussion. But you can even get into research already if you want to. When we talked to Krish in theory last week, he got into research at the end of high school. So you can get into research then. You can get into research end of your sophomore year, end of your freshman year. I think really just when you feel comfortable to do it. And I think earlier to do it, the better it is. So go for it. Post PhD, do you have to be will you have to be near the collider to do high energy physics stuff? I know the US colliders all got shot in the funding stage, so I don't have much hope for domestic particle physics. What do you think your post PhD plans might dive into?
I would say most likely just to go into industry, because especially like now, again with like the current political climate, it's just very hard to get into academia because there's just been so many funding cuts, and even in general before, I mean, a lot of the positions only vacate like when a professor dies, for example. So it's very hard to get at least a good academia position at a good school, which is probably the only way I'd wanna be in academia, is if I have like a good position where I can teach and also do like really good research as well with like, for example, like the Large Hadron Collider. So I would say most likely outcome is industry. That's what the past two grad students who graduated from my group are doing too. One of them is currently working at Amazon, I believe. So there's a whole bunch of opportunities you can do for industry, or even like a lab scientist, for example.
Yeah, that might be a little surprising to some people that they're hearing that you're going to get a PhD in experimental high energy physics, but you're going to be able to go work in industry doing what?
Probably data science and software engineering are probably the most likely. I would probably lean towards data science just because it's so much of what I do and it's what I like doing about my research. But yeah, I mean, so many big companies like Amazon, Apple would have like so many offers for physics PhD students who have a solid programming background and data analysis background as well. So,
and I think it's a really important point to make, because I think some people are scared away from doing PhDs in general, or even a physics PhD in something like high energy, because they think there's no marketability for them. They think they're going to get their PhD and then they're going to have no opportunities. But you would say that's absolutely not the case.
Yeah, no, that's I don't think that's the case. Like, there's plenty of opportunities that you can get into. Of course, it depends on what skill set you've obtained too during your PhD. But I'd say like at least for like most people, you get like such like a broad and like a good skill set that you really shouldn't have an issue finding somewhere to work after getting a PhD.
Mm, absolutely. iPhone 34 about to come with quantum neutrino AI CPUs. Yeah, you can work on that, Mr. Plasma guy. You can go work on that. What have been some of your favorite comp sci classes to take? Well, how many comp sci classes have you taken?
Here, none yet.
In undergrad, any?
In undergrad, I took one data science class, or what was it? Not data science. It was data structures as a freshman during COVID, so it wasn't the greatest experience ever. It was asynchronous, but I think it's important to like understand data structures. But I would say like you really don't have to take programming classes unless you're interested into more like specific computer science things like machine learning, for example. That it could be useful to take a class on that. But as far as like learning how to code and stuff, I would say you can mostly do that just by picking some project that you want to do on your own. Maybe looking through a few YouTube videos, but actually doing the coding yourself as well, or through your research if you're doing that in your research.
Do you think there's any major bottlenecks right now in your field? Like, are there like what are the problems that people are stuck on? Because I know there's talk of like, what if we just had a bigger collider? Like, do you think really just having a bigger collider would solve some issues?
Well, the thing is like, the bigger the collider you have, the higher energies you can probe to. So, and that's really how you discover like that's how you get to the next level of like lighter particles or like smaller particles that you wouldn't be able to see with our current energy. So like, but in order to achieve that, you would need a detector that like goes around the entire Earth, for example, and obviously that's not possible. So
you're saying what kind of particles are we able to look at right now, and what are these lighter particles you're talking about that you're not able to look at with the current collider?
Well, that's what we're not actually sure of, but we know that the current standard model is incomplete, so there should be something else out there. We don't know what it is, but so I guess smaller isn't the right word. I guess like more. It's hard to describe, but more elusive. Something that you really just need very high energies to get out of your collisions.
When you say high energy, now I know the field is called high energy. What energy, like what magnitude, like order of energy are we talking about that we already have?
So right now the LHC is 14 tera electron volts.
Tera electron volts. How could you? Is there a way to have someone understand how large a single tera electron volt would be?
I'm trying to think. I'm not sure actually. I'm sure there's some example, but it is it's essentially protons going like the speed of light, slamming into each other, and then I don't know if there's like a good direct comparison. I'm sure there is online that I don't know of, but it's a very high energy, and we would need significantly higher energies, I think, to get anything new, or like to really see anything new without having to do like very advanced statistical techniques, which is kind of the stuff we're doing now. So I mean, I would say like there's still obviously a potential for discovery, but it's really the point of just like how clever can you be with your experimental techniques.
So you get all this data from CERN, right? And you're putting these models on top of them to try to get numbers out or like data out, like of what you want, trying to filter out what you want. What does the data look like when you get it? Like, I don't know if there's a way to, like, I feel like people just hear data and then you're trying to, you said for you're trying to put some kind of model to see if you can get evidence of dark matter.
Yeah.
But what does the raw data look like when it comes to you? And then how do you go about filtering that to get what you want?
Yeah, so I guess in the detector, the data appears as just energy that it deposits throughout the different layers of the detector, how it bends, because essentially the detector is in a large magnet. So
would you be able to pull up a picture of the detector, like you wanted to look up for that?
Yeah.
So we can point.
Should be okay, I've used this one in talks before, but it's kind of small here. Is there a way to...
I think we can right click it. Open new tab. Maybe we can just zoom. And then we can do that's pretty big.
Yeah, so
wait, let me switch it to that. Boom. Get rid of the chat. Do that right now. All right, go for it.
All right, yeah. So here's I've used this so many times in talks that I've given before, but this is kind of like a slice of the detector here, and this one's labeled too. So this yellow part on the inside is the tracker. So that's the innermost layer. It's meant to handle like very high density of particles that come out of the collisions, and it essentially studies these tracks that come out, which are charged particles that, as you can see, bend. You see they have this bendy path, and that's because of the solenoid here. So the solenoid is like, I think, 4.2 Tesla magnet, which is a very, very high number. And it causes these particles that come out super fast to bend in all these different directions here, which helps you determine whether they're charged or not. And so that's in the tracker. After the tracker, you have the electromagnetic calorimeter, which is where you can see there's these purple lines in there. So that's where your electromagnetic particles like photons and electrons are usually going to deposit their energy, and that's where these purple lines are inside of that. And then there's the hadron calorimeter, which is right outside the electromagnetic calorimeter, and it captures all of the hadronic activity in the event. So anything that's made up of quarks and stuff will deposit energy here. And then
when you say deposit energy, do they just like leave traces of energy as they go through?
So it's kind of like how it's made. So the electromagnetic calorimeter, for example, is made up of these, I believe it's lead tungstate crystals that scintillate, so they vibrate and produce light.
Oh.
When a photon or an electron interacts with them. So you can tell by how intense that outgoing light is how much energy that particle has when it deposits there.
Oh, so it's interacting with it, but it's not sapping it's like coupled with it, but it doesn't just like annihilate that kind of part. I'm trying to think. Yeah. To me, it sounds like when you try to do single photon detection and you need a way to probe that there's a photon, but not destroy the photon. It kind of sounds to me like you're kind of doing the same thing with a particle, where it's like you want to probe it, but you don't want to destroy it.
Right. Well, a photon can go into a electron-positron pair, and then that can cause the interactions within the electromagnetic calorimeter as well. Yeah, essentially, this part uses light to determine how intense or how much energy those particles have. The hadron calorimeter, I believe it's layered with brass and some other material, maybe plastic. But when the hadrons interact with the brass, they kind of blow up into new particles, and it's kind of like an avalanching effect, as you can see with these big purple lines here. And then you can sum up all those energies from where the particle first interacted, and that's how you get the total energy of that particle.
So your data then, in essence, is a lot of just energies?
No. So the energies, the charge information, and things like that get put into what's called the particle flow algorithm. And that does a bunch of stuff in addition to like looking at the energies and charges to determine what particle resulted in that energy deposit. So what we get are information about different particles that we have, what their energies, momenta, their angular coordinates in the detector. We also get what are called jets, which are important, which essentially is when a gluon hadronizes, it produces a bunch of different hadrons that come out in like this very close or very tightly compacted angular cone. And they fly out in like one pretty well defined direction in the detector and deposit a ton of energy there. So that's also a pretty big thing that we look at, different types of jets, their properties, how we identify them, and the things like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. We're switching back.
That's kind of a more in-depth overview of data that I get and how it comes from the detector.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hi, Benson Booner. Thank you for joining the Twitch stream, guys. I'm gonna drop the link in here again. You don't have to watch on the Twitch. Just follow it. So I can start being able to cater to people who prefer both platforms. Because there's people for YouTube, there's people for Twitch. Just go ahead and go in there, give it a follow. That's all. But let's get back to what we were talking about before. So I think a good question here is, like, as a particle physicist, how much time do you spend working and studying, and also like what would you say a normal day in the life looks like?
Depends if I'm doing classes or not, but I'd say like right now during the summer I would wake up reasonably early, like 7:30, 8ish. Do some research for usually around like 4 to 5 hours, maybe more depending on how much I need to get done or how much I want to do. And then after that, it's just I have a bunch of free time to go on a run, go to the gym, all sorts of stuff like that. During classes, it's definitely a lot harder to do research. I would say, at least I would shoot for around like 15 to 20 hours of research a week. But again, especially like because I'm going to be taking 3 graduate classes this upcoming semester, that might be hard, especially on certain weeks like when I have exams and stuff. But yeah, I would say like right now, or at least like once classes are done too, it's very chill with how much free time you have and when you want to do research, especially in my field, because a lot of it's very asynchronous.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And during the summer, you have even more time.
Yeah.
It's like summer / late PhD student. Like summer feels like what it's going to be like in like a year and a half for all of us.
Exactly. Well, I guess the thing is that like once I start my actual thesis work, I'll probably be spending more time on research than I am now. So
yeah.
That's the other thing.
But when that time comes, you're also not doing classes then, so it kind of balances out.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's the summer life. How do I describe it like this? Your PhD life, like years like 3 to 6, 3 to 5 for some people, are kind of just like what your first 2 years summer looks like, where there's not classes but there's research, and life is good. Yeah. Life is good. I'm thrilled with the summer. That's how I feel. But yeah, let's put it on like this. Oh, have you taken any classes on relativity because the nature of the high energy fields or cannot be tied into QFT? Like maybe just do you have to do like GR or anything like that?
No. Not for my track at least. There currently isn't. I guess yeah, there's no current theory that can connect GR and QFT, because that would be the grand unified theory. So
that would be, if you could do that, would be you'd have a Nobel Prize guaranteed.
Yeah, that would be guaranteed Nobel Prize. But I think it is interesting. I don't know if I'll have time to take it with the other classes that I want to take, but I would say at least like for one of our qualifying exams called Comms 2, it has to be on a different topic from what you're currently doing. So like I would have to do something that's not particle physics related. So that could be, if I wanted to do something like that, like cosmology, maybe GR would be a good thing to take or something like that. But yeah, definitely isn't something that I would have to take for my track.
There's so many cool fields that exist, like cool classes that I really wish I could take.
Yeah.
But you can only do so much, and it sucks. I totally plan, for me at least, like later years, I want to just like audit a class. Just like sit in on random classes that look cool. Because it's just like, when else am I? Because like you have to do QFT. I don't have to do QFT, but I feel like QFT is a really cool topic. Yeah. And I would love to be able to sit on that class, or I'll just yap to you guys, and you guys will just fill me in. You'll fill me in at some point. But really like the YouTube channel. Been following for a few months. Keep it up. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate every single one of you that are willing to be here and listen to people yapping. I'm working on a new video right now. It's in the editing phase. It's from my conference that I just presented at in Ottawa. I did a research conference, and I presented on a work that I did with NASA JPL. And I did a vlog. It's going to be a pretty shitty vlog because I've never done that before, but we're going to learn a lot from it. We're going to put out the video still and hopefully get better at doing that kind of stuff. But I'm currently in the editing phase of that, and I'm working on it. Hopefully going to get that one out soon. But where are we? What is both of you guys' preferred or interpretation of quantum mechanics? I don't know if I have, like, Copenhagen maybe for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think Copenhagen's like the default one, right? That's
I haven't, like, I feel like there are two sides of people in quantum mechanics. There's those, like, I feel like I'm like, oh, quantum is cool, but then there's other people who are like very philosophical about quantum.
I'm definitely not. That's more of like a theorist thing, I think, too. Like, I'm definitely not as philosophical about it. I'm mostly just like, I'm interested in it because it's like kind of like the baseline behind the theory stuff, like the models that we look at. So.
Yeah, quantum is sick. I think quantum is super cool. The class still made me want to, like, made me hate myself, but it it's still a very cool field, and I think the theorists are always having when I walk into like there's like a office that people can go in when they leave food, and then a lot of the grad students just gather in there and talking, and all the theorists are always having the most insane philosophical like physics conversation. Like they're always like talking about, they're like, yeah, did you see the new interpretation? There's this random like archive paper that came out on an interpretation of quantum that I haven't heard before. I think, and they're like, I'm like, what are you like they're just talking about like topology or just like random like topics, and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, that stuff's way over my head right now.
They always have a very interesting conversations, but hey, you know what? It's always fun talking to theorists.
It is, yeah.
It's always. Do you have a favorite physicist? Do you have a favorite physicist?
I would say it's kind of a cliche answer, but I would say probably Feynman is my favorite.
Feynman's gonna be mine too.
Yeah.
I feel like my reason for that though is because he's such a good communicator, and he's a good physicist, but he did a lot of particle stuff.
Yeah, and he's a particle physicist, so I have that too.
For you, we have that, and for me, it's because he was one of the very few people that were a very good communicator. And he was really good at talking about physics very simply, and I always really appreciated that.
Yeah, it's a great skill to have, and something that I'm still trying to work on. So,
PhD on quantum physics in Munich. Yeah, and dying. Yeah, that's it. I hope she is able to get through it. I think if she's early on and early in the classes, I get it that they just suck. Classes
that's like where quantum was founded, right? In Germany, I think.
Oh yeah.
So they probably take it pretty serious there.
Yeah. But hopefully she has a good lab and she enjoys living in Germany and has a good time. But
this bonkers go crazy.
Let's see. Any other questions that people have right now before I keep yapping? Anyone? Anyone got a question? What kind of physicists usually make the most money?
The ones that go into industry.
Yeah, that's very fair. You said, is it usually the theorist or experimentalist ones? And I think Jared answered that perfectly. It's the ones that go in industry. The experimentalists, I know experimentalists from my lab who have gone out to get jobs right out of their PhD and got paid like $150K, just opening salary. I know a theorist who just accepted an offer to go work at a company with a starting salary of like $160K with like a over $100,000 signing bonus and a bunch of other amazing things. And that is industry. The answer is industry.
Yeah.
The ones that go in industry. Now, you can make a lot of money if you be a really good professor, but if you want to get out of your PhD and immediately start making a good amount of money, industry.
Yeah, professor takes time. Like, you got to be like a very well-respected and tenured professor who's published a lot of papers and made like meaningful contributions to the field before you start making the big bucks there.
I think a good track to go on, and I think a common one, is that a lot of people will go into industry, make a little bit of their bag, and then be like, you know what, though, industry's not for me. And then they come back, maybe do a postdoc or try to get a professorship position at a university, and then start working the way up the academic ladder.
That's the nice thing. Like, once you have a PhD, you can kind of just like do whatever you want. Like, you go back to academia if you want.
You can
industry,
you can float around literally wherever you want.
Yeah.
And the PhD lets you do that, so that's definitely good. Was there ever points in your undergrad where you had to drop the ball in your work to focus on projects and or applications, and how did that work out? Did you ever have to like drop doing coursework or like do less work in your courses to get your extracurriculars done?
No, I haven't had to do that. Yeah, but I'm sure
other people have. I have like had small periods of time where I had to do that, but I don't think you should stretch yourself so thin that you have to like tank your GPA to get that stuff done. I think that's not something you should be doing.
Especially in like undergrad too, because GPA is so important for getting into grad school. So
yeah, and someone said, why don't some people like industry? And it's probably because you get paid more, but money's not everything, and you don't have as much flexibility as when you run your own lab.
Yeah, I think like if you're going to industry, it's also really important to not get blinded by the money and try to find something that like is still interesting work to do, because there's plenty of different industry jobs that don't involve like sitting in an office all day and doing like the same coding over and over again for like $200K a month. So I think that's also an important consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very important consideration to make, and I mean, once you pass a certain point of like getting paid, like if I got paid $120,000 or $150,000, it's like I don't know. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's still more than enough amount of money.
Yeah, so. I think the money motivation I think most people doing the PhD anyways don't really have a money motivation because it's like we signed up, like we could all be making money right now if we wanted to, and we all signed up to not make money.
Yeah.
For a lot longer. Is there anything most surprising that you learned from your classes or research? I don't know if I have a great answer for that.
Surprising thing. I guess surprising that I was able to survive E&M.
Survive Jackson.
That class is pretty brutal.
That sucked. Jackson was horrible. And you did the second semester. I didn't even do the second semester.
Yeah.
That was definitely horrible.
I guess it got better though. There's the first 2 weeks. The first 2 homework assignments were like 12 hours of work.
Yeah, your dad always encouraged you to do physics in spite of fears of getting a job. Yeah, he's a software engineer, but knows that physics in undergrad, but did robotics in grad. Yeah, I think that is something that's great advice, because doing physics leaves you so many doors open than people think. They just think that you're only what your degree is.
Yeah.
And that's never really true, especially when you do such a fundamental science like that. And physics leaves you such an insane amount of doors open to kind of just float around everywhere. You know how many job applications I've seen where it's like, we're looking for these engineering fields and physics.
Yeah,
and it's like, it's always like they just chuck physics on the end.
Yeah.
And physics lets you kind of just like, you just kind of just start spitballing wherever you want. You can just kind of just hop around. And that's why I like it. As much as getting the degree sucks,
yeah,
it does leave you a ton of flexibility.
Yeah, it's the benefit of it.
E&M professors at my university suck. If you're doing the undergrad one, it's going to be okay. I promise you. I promise you it'll be okay. You're going to be fine. It will suck no matter what. I think it sucks. It's a universal experience that it sucks. And the grad one is the one where it's especially awful. So
yeah,
you will be fine.
You think undergrad's bad until you do grad, and then it's like...
and then the grad one just kills you. Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Industry is something that generates revenue for the company. Research about finding different ways to solve a problem. I mean, they're both, you're doing research in both. It's like generating revenue. You're usually working on an R&D team for the company, but doing research is, I don't know. It's like you just have more freedom on what projects you can do if you're in academia, because you are literally the one deciding what projects are being done.
I guess you could also say you're generating revenue for the university too, in some sense. So
that's true. You're both generating revenue in both.
Yeah, just for different parties.
What is the overlap between like particle physics and nuclear physics? Like, do you think you could hop over to nuclear if you wanted to?
Probably, but I would have to like brush up on like a lot of like the nuclear physics side of things. There are nuclear physics experiments at the Large Hadron Collider. A lot of it I think has to do with like plasma physics stuff as well. But I think it's pretty separate from like the stuff that I do with like, which is like experimental particle physics. Like there's a pretty fine distinction, I'd say, between that and like a lot of the nuclear physics projects there. So I couldn't really like tell you what's really going on in that side of things, but I know it does exist at the Large Hadron Collider.
So just because they're particles doesn't mean that you can just hop over?
It's different size particles.
Different size.
I'm doing more fundamental particles. They're doing more non-fundamental ones, elements.
Why is E&M worse than mechanics undergrad? I mean, I think that really just depends on your teacher, depends on a lot of other variables.
I'd say there's a lot more sophisticated math in E&M that, like, for example, like Gauss's law, if you haven't taken like multivariable calc, you're not going to have a full understanding of like what a surface integral is. So a lot of it kind of seems mysterious, especially with like Maxwell's equations, where you have to use like divergence theorem and Stokes theorem to switch between the two forms. So I'd say it's harder in the sense that like the math is just more difficult than like a lot of classical mechanics, where it's just like, oh yeah, you just do this integral to find the energy or something like that, like a one-dimensional integral. So but I still thought mechanics was challenging in its own aspects, especially in like a lot of the 3D like Lagrangians and stuff like that. That it could get pretty tricky.
It definitely can get rough. Are you obligated to teach during your PhD in the US? It is in Europe. I did not know it's mandatory in Europe. I'm not. I TA'd my first semester because I just didn't want to join a lab until after my first semester. And but once you get research funding, you don't teach anymore. So I'm never going to have to teach again through my PhD.
Yeah, you're not obligated to. Most people end up will, at least, yeah, for the first semester or two, depending on what, if you find a group, or if you're starting as an RA, as doing a research assistant right when you get there. Like, one of the grad students in my group has been doing research the whole time, so she never had a TA, but I did TA my first semester. So
Yeah. Ooh, I see a question that's very relevant for me. What do you guys think of engineering physics? I heard it's the best of both worlds from physics and engineering. Guess what I have a degree in? Engineering physics. I did engineering physics and physics, so I did 2 degrees. But I think engineering physics is wonderful, especially for me going into experimental AMO physics, which is not the topic for today, so I'm gonna gloss over that. But doing engineering physics for me was an amazing choice because it does let you touch into both worlds. And then if you combine research on top of that, and then take a little bit bonus physics to top off your physics background, then I think is a very lethal combo to go into grad school and do experimental physics specifically, because then you know how to work with a lot of stuff and you know a lot of the fundamental science behind it. So I would say that's good. But yeah, engineering physics is good. Ooh, we have to take a thumbnail. We didn't do a thumbnail for the live stream. Let's do that. Wait, I think I can do it like this. We can
what should we do for it
though? I think should we do? Any guys have any ideas? What should we do for the thumbnail? For the What should we do? We could
something like clever that we can do here.
Like we could do this. You ready? I'll hop on your back.
Okay.
And then wait, you gotta hit start recording.
Where is it?
Hit start recording. The right there. Hit start recording right there. Yep.
Okay.
And now we're recording. And now we look like, and look at the camera.
Where's the camera?
Okay. And now we do this. And now I stop recording.
Hey yo in the chat.
Hey yo. Guys, we have to do the thumbnail. We have to do a good thumbnail. I got it. So now I think if I open, hold on, we can do this. If I open Premiere Pro,
we just felt the
I do 10 earthquake. I think if I open Premiere Pro, I can just import that video and grab the frame. No, wait, no. Well, here I'll add some extra stuff on top of that when it comes to posting the video on this stream. But we're just gonna upload the raw photo with no context for the live stream right now. Let's call it test. And then I think I can import the video. Oh, yep, there it is. I wonder which one it was. I'll just show you guys what I'm doing. I feel like it's easier to just show you so you're not bored. There's all the other footage. Can you guys tell which one is the one with Jared and I? Is it obvious? I don't know if it's obvious.
There's another one right there too, to the right of it.
Oh yeah, that's the old place. That was like when we first set up this stuff. So now I can do this, and then we grab a good frame. Let's find a good frame. Here, let me mute it. So you know the volume. And then I can grab the frame. Export frame. We'll call it stream 3 or stream _ Jared. Thumbnail. Oh, that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. And then come back into OBS. I'll put you guys back. And then I think now I should be able to upload it. Isn't this a great thumbnail?
That was a great idea.
I think this is an amazing thumbnail. And then we go into YouTube. I think I have to go into back to YouTube. I go here. I go YouTube Studio. Content. Go to my live. Let it be slow and load. And edit. And now we just go find the file and drag it in. Boom, there it is. This is such a good thumbnail. I can't wait to do that for the actual video. I can't wait to use that. Save. All right. The new thumbnail it's saving. It's saving still. It'll be up in a minute. It'll be up. Yeah, I think that thumbnail's gonna be. I think that's gonna do real well to get people to click on this soon. I think that's gonna. I really wonder if we'll see the people coming in and start spiking up because they're gonna be really confused based on the title and the thumbnail. I think that's gonna be very confusing.
Talking to a particle physicist.
Talking to a particle physicist, and then we're just on each other's backs. Oh god, it's amazing. All right, we can answer another question now. I feel perceived in 17 dimensions. I'm glad you're perceived in 17 dimensions. Is this the human? This is the human side of physics we need to show the world. Yes.
That's the whole point.
This is we're idiots. We're so stupid. We just happen to do that stuff. Yeah, we do cool stuff. Yeah, we kiss off screen. Don't worry about that. Yeah. I'm not in physics, but I'm gonna study to become a history and English teacher. What am I doing in physics communities and doing physics related stuff? I have not the slightest idea. Hey, listen, I'm glad you're having a good time and enjoying this. I would love to even branch out past just doing physics stuff, and I would love to talk about a lot more, random topics that but right now obviously we're not a giant channel, so it's easy to just talk to people that I can bother to give me a couple hours of their time. But I would love to do more cool things. How is the pay like for placements in research? Also, are you a theorist? Oh, maybe this is maybe we have a bunch of new people here. If you were not here at the beginning, let me know. But let's go over some of the things that we talked about at the beginning. So maybe this is a good time to briefly touch up again on your research. I want a little more understanding too on, you mentioned the dark matter part. Yeah. So what research are you doing, and what about dark matter is involved with it?
Yeah, so again, I'll say it again. So I'm essentially doing a bunch of data science work. So when protons collide at very high energies, a bunch of particles fly out. And what I do is I look at these particles that come out of the collisions and see if we can see anything interesting from them. Specifically, the model that I'll be working on is a dark matter model that's called emerging jets. And essentially, in a very understandable way, what that means is that what I'm looking for are these jets, which are just very closely spaced particles that fly out in a defined direction with very high energies. And emerging jets are called emerging because they appear to be displaced from the main collision point of the protons. So you'll see collisions, and then, oh yeah, over there, for some reason, a jet just emerges. And that's because there is some dark matter phenomenology going on between the primary collision point and where the jet emerges from. So that's kind of the main signature of the model that I'll be looking at, and I'll be doing a bunch of data science, machine learning stuff for identifying those types of jets.
How does machine learning come into this?
It has to do with identifying the jets. So again, jets are essentially a big cluster of these particles that are closely together in a defined direction. So machine learning could help you identify the properties of the particles inside of the jets. And I think I'll probably be upgrading the jet tagger to use transformers, which is what's in like ChatGPT, for example, that uses transformers. And essentially it just makes connections between the properties of the particles between each other and throughout all the particles in the jet. And from those properties and connections, you can determine, oh yeah, is this a jet of our interest, or is it a jet that's not related, or is it a jet that isn't related but looks like are what we'd expect?
Sick.
So it's all about classifying the jets into these different categories.
Do you have a lot of collaborators at other universities for your research?
For that model that we're looking at?
Yeah.
There are a few. We have like bi-weekly meetings for emerging jets. So yeah, there are. I know someone who's at Princeton working on it. There's a bunch of people who work at CERN in Switzerland that are working on it as well. So yeah, I would say there's a good amount of collaboration between different universities and the CMS CERN area itself.
Yeah, what would you say is something advice you can give to somebody who wants to get into high energy research, but doesn't really feel like they're qualified or doesn't really know how? Like, what would you say you can do to get into it?
I would say like definitely try to learn at least like Python if you can. Try to like learn how to program. Python definitely, even C++ if you have the time to learn that. I would say it's a pretty big learning curve once you get in it to like learn about the detector and stuff. But I think if you have a strong foundation in like programming and you show that you're interested in learning and doing research in the field, then if you reach out to some professors who have openings for undergraduates, I'm sure they would be more than happy to take you on. So.
If someone is let's say they're a computer science major and they want to do research in high energy, is that enough? Like, that is the programming background supplement enough, or is there still a minimum physics background that they would need to start doing even undergraduate research?
I think in general, like if you were declared a degree in computer science, a physics professor would probably be less inclined to take you than someone who had less programming experience but was interested in doing a degree in physics. So I would say, as far as getting into research, it's pretty good to have to be going for like stated that you're going for a bachelor in physics or a bachelor in science, and then if you're like convey that you are going to do that, then that's going to help a lot. Because again, a physics professor is most likely going to take someone who's going to go for the degree in physics over someone who has more experience with doing computer science or something like that.
Would you say someone that is a computer scientist but then picks up a physics minor, that could even be enough to get their foot in the door?
Yeah, I mean, I think a minor could, but I'd say it's definitely not as much as a major.
Well, yeah, but maybe that could at least get him to the door of doing research.
Yeah.
As an undergrad.
Yeah.
But no, that's good. What do you think of The Big Bang Theory? Not the show.
The show.
Oh, the show.
I've never watched the show, but I want to.
I've never watched the show either. I will say that the second I said I was going to do my PhD in physics, my parents started watching, specifically my dad started watching the show constantly and started being like, I feel like I can relate to the show so much. And I was like, why? It's like, is it all of a sudden because I'm going to do my PhD in physics that now you feel like that you can connect with this show? That's what it felt like to me. But no, I haven't watched the show, but I mean, the characters are funny. I would say that the show puts a very exaggerated stereotypical side of like what people in the science field are, and I think it's great. They're hilarious. It's a great show. But something I also want to we want to do here is show that just like the people that are doing the science in these kinds of fields are people that you would never, talking to them normally, think that this is what they were doing unless they directly told you.
I feel like people are like so surprised when I say like, oh yeah, I'm going for a physics PhD. Like, what, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I get told, I had a lot of interactions where people kept telling me when I met them the first time that they thought I was a frat boy, and they were like, you're definitely in a frat, and I was like, no, actually, no, I wasn't, and then they were like, what, and then that's usually how it goes for me, but it's also because I'm a very loud, and I'm a yapper, insane yapper, and I think people just don't see that coming a lot of the time originally in these fields.
Yeah, definitely not for like a sciencey PhD field.
You guys should try level 1 and 2 video idea. Yeah. There's papers at 1 and 2. That's not a bad idea. Do you know people view the engineering physics degree as different or not as physics centered in a physics degree? If you do research, I don't think they'll care. It's really just about the coursework you take rather than specifically the name of the degree. I think people misinterpret that a lot. They think you have to have the name of the degree. You could even not have a physics degree. But if you just went out of your way to take every class except one, then it's going to be fine.
Apparently you're loud.
Am I loud? Oh, he's saying I am loud. Oh, he normally.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm aware. You can be quiet over there. I'm aware. Any other questions related to particle physics for now and things for Jared? I don't want to... Depends on... It's been about an hour now, so... See if we end off the interview, or anyone have any other questions related to doing research in particle physics, high energy stuff, life questions, advice, workout routine,
grad apps.
If anyone has anything else. If no one has anything else, we'll keep you here for another 5 minutes, but yeah. But either way. Oh wait. Do you have any prefer? Oh, we already. No, I don't have a preferred interpretation of quantum. I don't. No, all the theorists do. I don't.
Gotta get Chris for that one.
Yeah, bring a theorist in here and they'll give you like a 10-minute spiel, minimum. Oh, explain the Large Hadron Collider, the detector, like in like a caveman terms.
So it's a big circle. About the rate, I think it's a very big circle, miles across, and essentially what happens is that protons, which are very small particles, fly around it very, very fast, and then when the protons collide at a point in the detector, which in my case, what I'm studying is at the CMS detector, they fly out and then they hit different parts of the detector. And I guess I'm getting a little too specific for the LHC, but yeah. Essentially, at the LHC, there's like a bunch of those different points for different experiments. So I do CMS. There's also Atlas, LHCb, among others. And at those different points, the particles will collide. They'll hit the different parts of the detector, and everyone looks for different things. Mostly, I guess the most comparable are CMS and Atlas that have pretty similar structures and look for similar new physics things. But detectors like LHCb, for example, I don't know too much about it, but I know they're much better at looking at specific properties of individual particles, like electrons, for example. So I guess like the big story is that it's a big circle with a bunch of different detectors along it, and you can study different things at those different detectors. So that's kind of like what it is.
Can you please try to get a theorist on and have them wrestle an experimentalist? Would be great content.
I'd wrestle Krish.
Yeah, we could. Listen. You don't have to ask again. I'll just fight Krish. We had him on last time we did a stream. He was the interview. He's a theorist. I'll just fight him. Like, you don't have to we don't have to do it live. I'll just do it. Like, I'll just tell you guys that I'm gonna do it. He'll just, when he gets back here, he's not here right now, but I'll just fight him. You don't gotta ask me again. You're on the, as someone said, you're on the spirit theorist or experimentalist. You're on the experimental side.
Experimental side.
Yeah. But an advantage that we talked about for your stuff is that you get to be at home a lot still, even though you're an experimentalist, because a lot of your work is computational.
Right. A lot of coding.
We've learned a lot. We've definitely learned a lot. Caveman, no understand, detector, experiment, particle. Yeah, that's on you, man. I just had 2 burgers and I'm sleepy. I'm really feeling like I might go get a burger after this.
I'd be down.
Should we get a burger?
I'll get some.
We might go get a burger after this.
Let's go to Shake Shack.
Dude, Shake Shack I haven't had in a minute. Last time I had Shake Shack was I had it at the airport coming back from my conference.
It's so good.
And that was fire. Do you know if you're going to any conferences soon?
I'm not sure, but I want to. I guess probably at least towards the end of this year, if I finish some of the projects that I'm working on, I could definitely see myself going to some, presenting the work that I've done there. Mm-hmm. So hopefully soon. I would love to go to some.
Is most of your work coding? That's a decent question. Because it's a lot of coding, but you still need a lot of knowledge to do the coding.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different like variables from the data that you have to like know what they mean and how to analyze it. So in addition to just like coding and like doing a bunch of like putting to write like algorithms for data analysis stuff, there's also like understanding like what particles you'd expect to see from the data, how to access different parts of it, how to compute things that you're interested in from those different variables, things like that. So it's not just like coding the whole time. There's also other aspects to it as well. But definitely it's not like what you would imagine a theorist doing, which is writing on a chalkboard all day, like math equations. If we are writing on a chalkboard, it's a diagram of the model and then like different things that we can look for, like different variables. Yeah,
you do more extensive coding than most fields, but every field does program. Like there's no PhD student here that doesn't know how to program. Is probably the best way to put it at the same time. Yeah. What is the 1000th most common word in English? It's banned. Congrats, and you just got banned. I'm kidding. What year are you guys in? We just finished our first year, both of us. Yeah. So we both just finished our first year. I think we can technically call ourselves second year students now, or I don't know. For me, it's like I feel like I have to say it because like I don't feel like a second year student until I start the second year.
So we start classes, I guess.
Yeah, but at the same time, the new gonna be first year students just came into our lab a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
So it now I feels like when I say I'm a first year, I feel like I'm wrong when I say that because it's like no, there are people now who are now actually in their first year. So now I feel like a second year in my lab.
Yeah, I guess I also started researching in like in Colorado like over a year ago too. So I guess if you consider it like that, then I'm technically in my second year. So.
Did you do your master's first? Neither of us did our master's first.
No, but the master's is like part of the program. So once you finish classes, I believe, you can decide to just leave with the master's and get a job if you want to do that.
Yeah. That's a U.S. thing, I should point out. That might be a good question if you're not from the U.S. Usually it's more mandatory, not in the U.S., but in the U.S., you can just go straight from bachelor's into your PhD program and get the master's along the way. Very off topic right now, but I'm outside and a squirrel just stole my toast. Very confused. I'm really sorry. I'm sure it was a well-cooked piece of toast then, so nice job. I have confidence that you'll be able to make another piece of toast. As someone having ties to LHC, have you ever been approached by a conspiracy theorist?
Conspiracy? I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure the theorists have their own conspiracies, but I don't.
I don't know about the conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely their own separate sector of theorists that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm not from the U.S. Can you please clarify all the different steps in higher education? You kind of go from what, bachelor's? In the U.S., it's bachelor's, and you can go straight from bachelor's into your PhD program.
Yeah.
And then you kind of just do the master. The first 2 years or so are like your master's program, but you're doing research at the same time.
Yeah, and they're also paying you to go to the school. I think if you just come for a master's, you have to pay tuition.
Yeah, I'm unsure if you get paid for a master's in some way, shape, or form in other countries. If there's a way to do that, but yeah, we're getting paid to do our master's. We don't pay to go to school, so it's My uncle is a flat earther. That is a tough one. Yeah, there's no saving that. Yeah, there's really no saving that. But then after you finish your comps 2, there's 3 things. There's comps 1, which is basically just your fundamental classes. Comps 2, which is like some kind of check to make sure that you're competent in your field. That's usually the worst one that people hate. And then the comps 3 is where you present what you're going to do for your thesis. But after your comps 2, it's kind of just all research, and you have your master's after your comps 2, and you kind of just keep going for like 2-3 years, usually like 3-4 years to get your PhD.
Comps 2 is like the hard part. And then once you pass comps 2, it's more tame, I think. With
the senior grad students in my lab tell me that once you finish comps 2, you're kind of, it's like you're free. And it's like you're good. You're good to go once you finish comps 2. And I know I'm here for at least my master's, and I do plan on fully staying for the PhD. So once I hear that, once I finish the worst part, that it's all free after that, I'm gonna keep going. So I'm finishing this out. But yeah. Any other questions? Or I think maybe we'll say thank you to. Do you have anything else to say or anything or no?
I don't think so. But yeah, thank you for having me. It was great answering all your questions about.
Yeah, thank you for. Did everyone learn something about? I hope everybody learned something about what research is like in particle physics. So thank you so much, Jared, for being here and talking about your research and giving some insight into what it's like. If people enjoy a lot of these, please let me know, and we'll keep doing more things like this. So thank you very much, Jared, for joining.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll do more of these. I'll be here for a minute longer to keep doing a little bit of Q&A. But that's all for our time with Jared. So thank you very much, sir.
Yep,
appreciate it. Absolutely. Yeah. You can take your chair back.
Drag my chair.
Do we have the exact same chair?
I think we do.
I think we have the...
I think mine's from Costco.
Mine's also from Costco.
It definitely is.
Look at that. Same chair.
Look at that, yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you for coming.
Of course. Thanks for having me. See ya.
All right, people. Did we learn something? Did we learn something today? I hope we all learned something. Was that inspirational? Was that motivational? Did we thoroughly enjoy that? How do we feel about that? I hope we all learned something. I definitely learned a lot. I don't know a lot about these things until these people come on. I learned so much I asked so many questions. I'm glad you learned something. It's good that you learned something. There's a lot of good knowledge to learn here. And I'm glad that you were able to learn a lot. That's a very important thing. We learned that nerds can be cool. Yeah, nerds can be cool, I guess. I mean, not like always. I mean, like there's some that are like pretty lame. Like, I mean, that guy like wasn't that cool. He wasn't like that cool. He was okay, I guess. Like okay at best. Like fine, but it's like, I guess he was cool. And maybe he can bench 225 also. So I guess we'll give him another, like, maybe like 1 point. Yeah, the thumbnail. I can't wait to put this into, to edit this down into a video and be able to post that. I think that's gonna be awesome. I think that's gonna be a fun part. Is when I can do that. So this that'll be. I'm literally just gonna, I think the thumbnail I'm gonna go for. I think I'm literally just going to have that photo. I'll see if I can get rid of the chair. Maybe I can get rid of the chair, but then just draw an arrow and just be like particle physicist and then just post it. And that's gonna be the whole thumbnail. That's gonna be the whole thing. So that'll be funny. I think that'll be funny. What editing software you use? I use Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro. I think it's the best. Or the most, one of the, it's pretty easy to use, is how I found it. That's how I think about it. But hey guys, once again, just give the Twitch a follow, please. So I can like have some followers on there. That's all I need. So I can just keep slowly growing it. Because both platforms are going to be very important if we keep doing this. So if you guys want to support me doing more of these interviews, then just give that a follow. That's all you gotta do. Premiere Pro is good for real. And if you know the right places to look to get it, it doesn't cost that much. You know what I mean. You know the right places to go. You can always find anything online, if you know what I mean. You can find anything. That's kind of what I was thinking about that. What? But yeah, do we have any other questions for me or things that people want to know before I head offline? I mean, we can do some good yapping for a minute, or we can just call that. For the rest of my day, I'm just gonna be editing. Really, like I had the video that I was doing some pretty casual vlogging from the conference, and I want to get that into video form to try to put out. It's gonna be, I think, as I said, my interpretation of that video is my first time like recording something not in my room, so it's going to be interesting. And I already see through the editing process a lot of things that I realize I could have done better, but that's something that you learn as you go about this. So I'm gonna put that together. I'm gonna release it still, and I'm gonna learn a lot from it, and we'll keep figuring things out. We'll keep learning more. We ever game on Twitch? We got enough people in here. I could totally game at one point. I just feel like right now, if I started gaming, it wouldn't do great. So that's kind of my thought on those things. Are you interested in philosophy, or would you say it's a good thing to be interested as a scientist? Totally, dude. So many people. You know how many people are having like philosophical debates here that are like reading? They're like, I'm reading this philosophical book and I'm getting them to have debates on. Like, there's so like you get wrapped up into it without trying. Like, there's so many people here that are just doing philosophical conversations for the sake of doing them here. It's kind of just like you get into this intellectual nerd world, and then all of a sudden people just start being like, let's have philosophical debates about our interpretations of life. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I'm tired. I got homework to do. That's kind of why I think about that. Yeah, diversifying content. Yeah, it's absolutely difficult. To diversify content at the beginning of a channel is difficult. I mean, YouTube isn't going to know how to push things. It's much easier to diversify if people knew who I was. And, it's kind of like, let's do an example, like Ludwig's channel, right? I'm sure a lot of you know who, like, Ludwig is. Ludwig can post something with just his face and his name and make whatever he wants, and it will do well. Because people will click on it for him. But for me, it's like, there's a few of you who know who I am, but pretty much 99.9999% of people don't know who I am. Hello, Jerome. Hi. Basically, if I diversify too much, YouTube won't know how to push it to. People won't click on it just because I put a picture of my little face on there, and it won't do well. So kind of just very very early stages of things. We've only been doing this for like, I think we're nearing month like 6 or 7 now, which is like, that's not, our YouTube channel, that's not long at all. That's nothing. So we're gonna figure things out slowly. You guys all get to be here for the journey. You guys all get to be here for the journey of that. And also the room around me, we're actually gonna get decor. We are actually going to put decor up. I promise. We're actually going to decor. I have posters, 2 posters that came in. More are coming in. I want to frame them, and I want to start putting them on the wall. Over there. I want to start decorating the room properly. That's a goal of mine. So if I can do that, we'll have a better background. I also feel like, this is like this is a very warm temperature light on the ceiling over here. And over here we have a very just like white light. So I think there should be maybe if there's another like soft lighting somewhere over here, and then I can not depend on that one up there, or just replace the bulb. I might just like replace the bulb because it looks like one of them is bright and one of them's white light, one of them's not. It's a little confusing, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure that out myself. But we gotta get the background going, so videos no longer have just that in the background. That's gotta be the first goal. Do you think theory of everything is more philosophical or theoretical? Theory of everything, I think that's something that is scientific and needs to be figured out. There's gotta be a way to connect all these theories. There's gotta be, and people are gonna have to do it. Someone's gonna figure it out. Theorists are always actively working towards the theory of everything, but it can only really be a valid theory of everything if it's confirmed by a ton of experimental evidence. Yeah. Theorists are that's where experiments drive from. Experiments are driven from from theorists who put together something, and then enough people are like, this could be promising, and then some experimentalists are like, I'm going to fund this project, or I should say, you might write a proposal to get the government or some kind of grant to fund your project, and then you get to go try test that theory, and you might find nothing, or you might find something. You won't know until you try. So that's kind of that's what you got to do. That's really what you got to do. You think the gray wall is charming? I'm glad you think the gray wall is charming. I feel like a lot of other people don't think the plain gray wall is charming. I'd also love to not be living in a room that are just blank walls. That's for me. For me. We can even think about it just for me. For me, I'd love to not have that. So I'm not going to do that. But yeah, if you're new, please subscribe to the channel. Please show some support for the content, and we're gonna make more cool stuff. We're gonna make cool stuff here. I'm excited to do it. Excited to make cool stuff with everybody. What keeps you from going to pursue a PhD in physics? I would say for me, what keeps me going to pursue the PhD. Thank you for coming in the live stream. Thank you. What keeps me going to the PhD is kind of just like the fact that I love doing research. I love solving cool problems, novel problems, and working on, like, I like obviously right now I'm at a point as a grad student where I'm told kind of what project I'm working on, but I chose this project, and I'm passionate about doing that project, and I think it's cool. And I stay motivated by wanting to solve that problem and wanting the overarching goal of being able to do research and be able to learn how to solve novel problems. And also just having a community of people around you really helps. I think that the people that I'm around in like my cohort, even especially, or even just the entire community, the lab community, having a good community around you really, really, really helps keep you motivated. Because you have people that you want to be around, and you have a good culture, and you have a good community, then that is going to help a ton in helping you stay motivated to do these things. That's going to help a ton. If you're able to stay motivated, then, or just if you have people that you like being around, you're not going to want to dip. You're going to be like, well, I like my friends, at least, so I'll stick around. It's like, there's a lot of really, really awesome things that are a lot of awesome people here that keep me wanting to be here and keep me doing cool things that are not just work. My life isn't just work. Like, I'm doing this right now. This is me not doing work for... You guys don't see me in the work part. I should do a day in the life video. Should I do a day in the life video? What do you guys think? When the semester starts, do I do a day in the life? I feel like that's a good idea. But you can see a little bit of what work life is like. Also, I think people in my lab now know... People in my lab also... I was fiddling with something and I dropped it. People in my lab now know that I have a channel and they think it's interesting, and I think some of them would love to talk. So I could totally I think it would be funny if I just brought should I just bring my mics into my lab office one day and just talk to people? Literally just talk to people in my lab office. Day in the life would go crazy. Yeah, I could totally do day in the life. I'm gonna wait till the semester starts because it's not as I feel like a more realistic day in the life is gonna be what happens during like 8 months of the year, and that is what you see during like the school year. So I'll probably wait till the school year starts, but I'll definitely do a day in the life. And hopefully me practicing these couple of like more vlogging things will help me learn how to do that, because I think I do like learning how to do B-roll has been interesting. Like learning how to do B-roll is not something you realize where your mistakes are until you get to the editing part. Cause I'll like start editing and I'm like, oh, I didn't record enough things, or I recorded too many things here, but not enough things here, or I talk too long, and that means I don't have enough B-roll now. So learning how to do that has been interesting. It's still like hurting my brain a bit, but I'm trying to learn how to do it. But I'm gonna put together what I can, and I think that'll definitely help with a day in the life. What if I do a day in the life? What if I do it? What about this? A day in the life, but it's a day that I sleep in, and I literally just don't do anything the whole day. Like it's like day in the life as a physicist, and then it's me just at home eating food. It's like I literally just eat food at home the whole day, and then the video ends. That's gonna be the whole thing. I'm literally just gonna be like, I don't feel like going to the lab today. I don't want to do anything. And then I just stay home and it's me just recording myself lying in bed and eating food. Day in the life of a Twitch streamer? Yeah, I'm definitely a Twitch streamer. I'm a huge streamer. I'm like, as you can tell by how the fact that I have what now? 16 followers and 5 concurrent viewers, one of which are me, and I'm sure the rest of them are duplicates from YouTube also. You know, I bet that is. I would definitely call myself a streamer. We also tried to stream with a math researcher. Yeah, I think so I've been trying to think about that. I think the closest I have right now is I have a friend who does very pure mathematical physics. That's the closest I know right now for a math researcher. We can obviously get even more pure math in the future. We can definitely get way more like just like pure mathematics. But as I mentioned with you guys, the more I can grow this channel and the more I can get a few of these under my belt to have, because like if I want to approach someone that I don't already know and be like, hey, do you want to come be on this stream? The bigger this is, and the more that we've done this, the easier it's going to be to convince other people to do these things. So we're starting with people that we know very well, but we also know have good conversations with, and then we're slowly going to keep branching out from that. So the more that you guys support this and the more they're able to do this here, the cooler things that we'll be able to do. And I really think that there is an audience for this, and I think that people do want to hear these things. So I can do this now and center myself. The more I really feel like that there is an avenue where this can be a very popular thing, especially just having very casual conversations with people who do research. I think a really cool goal of mine would be to like do 2 things. Like a dream goal is like you do one part where it's like an interview, and then the other part of it is like what is something that they love doing, and that's where you show the human aspect of things. And it's like this person really loves sailing, and then you go sailing with them and you have conversations about how they got into their field and stuff like that. Like I think like doing random stuff like that would be a really cool way to show that the people who do these things are just pretty goated. One of my friend's advisors like did paragliding like halfway, like he did like one of the longest paraglides and has like a record for it or something. Like he's just like these professors and these students and stuff are just wackos. Like they're all just like insane people. And I think there's a lot of cool conversations to be had. A lot of cool ways to show those things. But I think I like to think a lot about the long-term things because those are fun things to look forward to. But I really feel like that even though we're starting small, start with small conversations, I think there's a lot of cool avenues that we can get to at this. And I'm very appreciative, and even just your guys' support of showing this helps me feel like that I can get there. Do a mukbang? Wait, that would be awesome. Should we do a conversation conversation about research, but we're trying to see how many drive-throughs of food we can eat. We're trying to see if we do the thing where you order what the person in front of you had, but then at the same time we have to talk about some like very like high brain power topic. I gotta write that down. All right, I'm just keeping that head. I'm gonna write that down. I have a list. I feel like that would be a funny idea. It's kind of like Hot Ones where they ask you interview questions as you eat like really hot wings, but instead we're just really full on like Big Macs. I wish I was an outdoorsy person. Dude, I'm not a crazy outdoorsy person either. You kind of just like, I'm starting to get wrapped up into it, and it's just like, I don't even know. You figure it out. My roommate's trying to get me into running right now. That's what's going on. He's trying to get me into doing running, and I've been trying to run because I got so demoralized from that backpacking trip where I threw up at the trailhead. I threw up before we even started the backpacking trip. That I got so demoralized from that I was like, I gotta start running. I was like, I need to start running. So I've been trying to run the last. I think I'm only 2.5 weeks in now of like trying to run more consistently. I hate running, man. I hate it. Anyone here a runner? Anyone here a runner? And can you just like tell me? I'm really curious. If you're a runner, tell me what you like about it. I just want to know like what makes you enjoy it. Like, is there a point? If I do this long enough, am I gonna enjoy it? Because that's what I keep asking my roommate. He ran in college. And I keep asking him that, and I'm like, dude, is there a point that I keep doing this long enough that I start loving it? I want to know. If you don't, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that you never will, because he's making me sign up for a 5K. So don't. I need like. There's gotta be. But like, what do you? But like, people like it. So like, what do they like about it? Do they like the pain of like just feeling exhausted? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And they can't describe why. It's like, if we want to talk about philosophy and philosophical questions, let's talk about how people like running. That's the conversation that I want to have right now. How do people like running? Just find another cardio. See, that's what I do. I like to play soccer. I played soccer my whole life. And I like to play soccer. Yesterday, my cardio was I played 2.5 hours of soccer straight. And that was my cardio, which I'm thrilled on those days. But then on other days, it's like I got to do a long distance run because you got to train the legs for those kinds of long distance that are like sprint, stop, sprint, stop, sprint, stop. So I would love to be able to find the love. It's peaceful. What is peaceful about dying as you just keep going? That's what I feel like is there's got to be like a certain like critical point of endurance that you're able to enjoy it more. I don't know. Do you live in Boulder, right? Do you like climbing? A lot of people here love climbing. I haven't got into it extensively. I've done it a few times, but I don't even know. Cool life hack. If you order the Starbucks drive-thru while speaking Klingon, that's like a Star Trek language or something, right? You will get your drink thrown at you when you pull up to the window. How do they know what drink I want, though? So, like, they clearly understand Klingon then, right? The endorphins kicking in. I'm waiting for the endorphins to kick in. I'm waiting for the endorphins to kick in before my stomach stops operating properly. Like, I feel like there's got to be a critical point. Like, right now, it's like stomach stops working and endorphins. And I got to slowly bring it together where the endorphins kick in before my stomach stops functioning properly and tells me that I'm about to throw up the second I stop. If someone tells you you're lazy, just remember you are in motion relative to someone else. I guess you're right. But doesn't that also mean then, since I'm at a higher elevation than a lot of you living, I'm in motion faster than all of you because I'm making a rotation around the Earth at the same amount. One rotation is the same amount of time, but I'm going a longer distance, so my velocity is higher, which means that compared to all of you, I'm in motion and you're lazy. Yeah, I think that's the interpretation we have to make here. I think that's basically what we do. So I don't have to run anymore. Cool. I'm in motion. Like, on average, I'm moving faster than all of you. Sick. Good to know. Good to know I don't have to worry about it. I think that makes sense. Thank you for bringing up that point, because now I know that I don't have to work out anymore. So I appreciate that. I don't got to do that anymore. I have a friend from my grade who going to see a Boulder for physics, and he was obsessed with rock climbing. Now I realize why he picked it. Yes, this is actually the rock climbing capital of the entire country. This is the place if you want to do rock climbing. There is no better place. I didn't know many people at all who really did rock climbing until I came here, and now I come here and it's like the normal. It's like half of people do rock climbing, more than half. What am I saying? More than half of people do rock climbing. And if I want to do rock climbing, I just go talk to anybody, and I go like, "Are you going rock climbing today?" And they go like, "Yeah." They go, "Want to go to the gym with me?" And I go rock climbing at the gym. So it's like I'm not deep into it yet because I don't feel like spending the money on a rock climbing gym. But there are an insane amount of rock climbing gyms, and there's no other place in the country where if you say I'm going to, and then you insert the name of the rock climbing gym, everyone knows that you're talking about because everyone knows all the rock climbing gyms. It's an interesting place. It's definitely an interesting place. But living right up against the mountains is pretty cool. I can't lie. The fact that the mountains are just like there, like 2 minutes that way, is kind of cool. So I do like that part. Sean Carroll's Quantum Fields currently excellent info into QFT. That is, yeah. Haven't read it, but I'm sure there's good books out there that give a good overview of QFT. The getting into the weeds of the math of those things, where you gotta start quantizing the fields. I ran through the derivation at one point of quantizing the electric field. I do that for my quantum optics class. I took a class on quantum optics last semester, and that was interesting. That was definitely interesting. But it was cool to see that. And now I'm starting to see the other like topics from that come up like in research, and I'm like, cool. Something from class actually coming up in my research. Nice. I feel like it's kind of satisfying when you like learn something and then you see it apply, and then immediately it's like boom, information is now stuck in your head, and now you remember it. That's kind of what I thought about. Does this work right now? I think the bun works. Nice. Yeah, I have one of those desks. Why are we elevating? Because we're getting cool. You know, that's just how it be. That's kind of just how it be. It's kind of just how things work out a little bit, you know? Sometimes things just work out like that. And you don't know why they work out like that, but they just do. And it's kind of like, I don't know. Sometimes it's like, why can't we have nice things? I don't know why we can't have nice things. I wish I could tell you why we couldn't have nice things, but I don't know. And now, we're on the floor. What do I do? Hello there. We're getting to stimming mode. Unexpectedly good at this. I'm glad. I'm very glad. What is my PhD study about? I'm doing the study of everything. The study of life. I'm studying why am I the better than everyone else? That's kind of what I'm studying. I'm trying to understand like why. My PI keeps saying it's not going to work. That's egotistical. You can't do that for a PhD. But I really feel like that I can just study why I'm better than every single other person that exists. Can we increase the production quality and get a floor cam? All right. New stream just dropped. What do you mean, where are we looking? Is it not obvious where we're looking? We're doing a stream and we're answering questions. I think this is obvious what we're doing. What do you mean? Is this like weird? For some reason, can I not sit in the floor and just answer questions? I'm just chilling. And apparently, people are having a problem with this. Well, you know what? I'm going to sit here more now. I'm going to enjoy my time on the floor. Because there's no issue with this. I can do whatever the hell I want. Anyways, anyone got a question? See, if I did this, then I don't have to put any posters on the wall because I'll just constantly have floor cam. What inspired you to get into physics? Great question. What inspired me to get into physics? I always, when I was in high school, I kind of was like, man, these YouTube videos and stuff, they're kind of make no sense. I don't really understand what's going on, what anyone's saying in these YouTube videos. And I was like, maybe I want to figure out what's going on. So I kind of was like, I'll just go into physics then, because it sounds cool. And my parents didn't even understand if that was a good choice. They kind of just originally, they were like, I don't know if there's going to be good jobs in that. But then I had to explain to them, I was like, I think there are a lot of good jobs. It's a very marketable degree. And they were kind of like, all right, you can go for it then. You can do it. If you want to do whatever you want. And then I was like, okay, so now we're going to physics. And now it's like, now we have to figure out what we want to do with that. So I got into physics, and then it was like, now I started getting into it, and I was like, these people in this field are kind of cool. People are doing things that are there's pretty cool topics and research going into it. And then I kind of fell in love with the field in general. But it was kind of very much on a whim where I watched YouTube, and I was like, this makes no sense. I want to make it make sense. I went into it, realized I was really happy with the field and what goes on into it, and then I kind of decided to stick with it. That's kind of like how that happened. I feel like that's a pretty logical, like, I feel like if we're bouncing ideas off each other, like that makes a lot of sense. Does that make sense? How that works? I think that makes sense. I can't really see what anyone's saying right now, but I'm gonna assume people are like, Dario, that makes so much sense. That may have been the most clear explanation I've ever seen in the entire world of what it means to go into this field. And besides that, there is nothing weird about what you're doing right now. This is very normal. I was going to get out, but this is going interesting. I'm glad this is going interesting for you. I don't really know what's interesting about it. I don't really see anything weird that's going on. I'm just talking. What am I doing? Thank you. This has been the most clear explanation in the world. Thank you. I know it was. I knew it was. I didn't need you to tell me. I already knew I did an amazing job at that. But with one B, not two. Can you do a backflip? I need people to stop asking me if I can do a backflip. I can't do a backflip. I can't. I can do it on a trampoline, but I can't do one normally. And the amount of people that told me that they feel like I'm someone that can do a backflip and then I can't do a backflip is insane. It is on my bucket list for this next year to be able to do a backflip. I need to be able to do a backflip. I can't stand people telling me that they feel like I should be able to do a backflip and then I can't do a backflip. That's kind of how I feel. Anyways. Ugh. Physicists are a zesty breed. I can see that. Can you do a front flip? I can do a front flip on a trampoline. That's actually harder. A front flip is harder than the back flip. I can only do it on... I learned how to do a front flip originally when I was like really young, because a front flip like felt like it was easier. So when I was like elementary school, I learned how to do a front flip on a trampoline. But now I've more recently learned how to do a backflip on a trampoline. What YouTube channels are you referring to? I refer to like PBS Space. They have like cool like random videos on like things. But Veritasium, I love watching Veritasium now. Veritasium's also a very inspirational channel. But I would almost say I more so watch him more lately because his topics are like really cool, and anyone at any level can find those questions really interesting to answer. Never stop discriminating those who can't do... Can you do a backflip? Can you do a backflip? Do you tell me? Can you do a backflip? You ever talk hate out there? Yo, where the particle physicists go? His segment is over. We finished, and now I think this is very normal. We've transitioned into this. I think this makes a lot of sense. Like, I have so much floor room now. Like, I can answer questions over here. I can't really see what anyone's asking, but like we can answer questions over here now. Is there anything wrong with this? Is there anything wrong with what I'm doing? It feels like people think there's something wrong with this and that it's weird. I really wish I could see the chat though. Alright, maybe we'll move closer to see the chat. Floor gang type stream now. Dude, I gotta do like that Markiplier thing where he just started a stream in the bathtub and made no reference of it. I'd love to do something like that. Like, that's just like, those are the bits that I love. Guys, who put that chair there? Why am I sitting on the floor? There's been a chair here the whole time and no one told me? Why did no one tell me that there's a chair? No, there's like 30 people in here and no one told me that there's a chair behind me. I'm sitting on the floor for nothing. No one told me that there was a chair there. You guys all had me sit on the floor. And no one told me that there was a chair. I can't believe you guys. There was a chair there the whole time and no one told me. That's amazing. Everyone here is a community of people. And no one here told me there's a chair. Everyone's like, Dario, you're just sitting on the floor. Can't believe you're sitting on the floor. But no one's going to point out the fact that there's a chair behind me. It's almost like people just assume that I would have thought there would have been a chair there. It's okay. You know, I appreciate that apology, man. Thank you, Noodle. I appreciate that apology. It's okay. I'm sorry. I overreacted a little bit. I overreacted. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean it. I understand that I understand. Conspiring against you should work conspiring against you, you admit? Yeah, Schrodinger's chair. Didn't know if it was there. It was, when I looked at it, it wasn't there. But you guys apparently saw it. They gotta look at the camera. And I would probe it that way, and apparently the chair's there. This makes no sense. This makes absolutely no... Try not to swear today. God, it's so easy to swear. I'm not doing it. Hey, I'm gonna drop the link to my Twitch channel again. Just give it a follow if you can. I also am doing the streams on Twitch now, so then I can grow an audience on both. It would also be great to be able to get like affiliate or something on Twitch, so that people, what do you call it? I can make sure to have that if there's a point where I want to use that platform, I can. So I at least like have some kind of like, at least Twitch doesn't see me as just a rando. They're like, this is a guy who at least does some kind of streaming things. So that's kind of a goal. Is that a real question? Fine, or whatever. I guess we'll answer actual questions. Whatever, Michael. We'll answer your real question if that's what you feel like we should be doing. I tried the chat again. Seems like the chat's been actually working. I got a cough. Bro is lagging IRL. No, I'm... not. What was the question? Dude, what do you think is the best, most fun type of research job? You had a choice to start in RUs. Okay, the best place to start is going to be getting a research lab at your university. That's going to be the place to start. Start reaching cold email people. Start cold emailing people and get into a research lab. The most fun experience I've ever had in undergrad was doing an RU at another university. I did an RU, the one I got accepted into a few, and I ended up doing the one at the University of Southern California, and I got to live in LA paid for a summer. And that was insanely fun. That was a top 1 summer. And I'm not even kidding. Top one summer. So doing research at university to get good experience, then be able to get into an RU and do research at another university is going to be, for me, that's going to be the best play that you got. That was the best choice that I made, was doing an RU at another university. They're hard to get into, which is why I say do research at your university to get experience, to get into one of those. Because as I said, I applied 2 years. First year, I had no experience. I applied to RUs, got rejected from all of them. Second year, I had research experience. I applied to RUs, and I got into like 30% of them. Dario, what if you're into science, but your science teacher is preying on your downfall? Everyone goes through bad experiences with bad teachers that just don't like them, or they just have a horrible time with. Just don't let them defeat you. You stick through it. They're not going to be your teacher forever. So you stick through it, you stay motivated, you remember what's cool about it. You remember the long-term goals that you have there. One teacher is not going to stop you. One teacher cannot stop you, but one really good teacher can really help push you through. So don't let the one bad one stop you, because you're going to get that one good one at one day, and that one's really going to push you to do it. What do you think of the one-way speed of light paradox? I think it's cool. I mean, you can't actually measure the speed of light, because you can't send it, and you can't relativity. But I think it's cool. I don't really know what to do with it, but it's a cool kind of tidbit of information. Do you think that would work in the UK, getting into research like that? Yes, that works anywhere. Cold emailing works anywhere. I have a video on this called "Getting to Research is Easier Than You Think." Go watch that video, and that will help you. That is the rundown. That is my very basic rundown on how to get into these things. Do most RUs offer some sort of living? Yeah. I got paid. I got my living covered. I got food covered. And I also got like a $6,000 USD stipend on top of that. And it was an 8-week program. So it was great. It was basically like everything, most things were covered for me. And then I had $6,000 to just do whatever I wanted for an entire summer in LA with a bunch of other people that were my age and also just wanted to have a fun time in a city that they also weren't from for a summer. And that was an insanely fun experience. The USC dorms though, those are something. Like that school was something. I had a linen service in my dorm. They changed my sheets once a week. Isn't that insane? In a dorm. That campus is wild. I almost went there for grad school. I did love my time there so much. I almost decided to go there for grad school. What did you need to apply to the RUs? You're going to need 2 rec letters. So that's why also getting into research at university is going to be good, because good rec letters matter a lot. So you're going to need 2 rec letters. You usually write like a personal statement, and then also make sure you are more specific on like who you'd want to work with. So, and then you can also email the professors too. How did you get this articulate? A lot of talking. Like a lot of talking. And the lack of care to do things like sitting on a floor. But that was also because no one told me again that there was a chair that I could sit on. So I was just on the floor, and no one told me that there was a chair that I could have sat on. I'm just saying. What topics did your RU focus on? Funny enough, I did in my RU and in engineering. I did electrical engineering. I worked on biomedical devices, and I worked on developing a flexible PCB. Yes, you also need a resume, right? Yeah, so I worked on biomedical devices. And that was a cool thing that I liked with doing engineering physics, because I know there's someone earlier that asked about doing engineering physics. And that let me do things in both fields. And I got a lot of very different, diverse experiences. And then when it came to grad school, I was like, boom, look at this plethora of things I've done. I've been able to touch on a bunch of different fields and do research in them and show cool things with that. And now I'm trying to focus on something. You had an ad? I didn't even know. I didn't even know they were on. You'd be a good communicator. I think you'd be a good college professor. I appreciate that. What about a good science communicator on YouTube? Do you think I could be good at that, huh? Do you think that could work out? Do you think this could pan out into something that could be sustainable in the future? I'm just throwing that out there. Not really asking for you to like tell me anything. I'm not asking you to like pat me on the back. I'm just like throwing that comment out there. That like, what if this was able to work out? What if I was able to do this a lot more? You know, I'm just saying. I'm just like throwing that out there. Like, it's not like I'm not asking you to tell me like you're doing such a good job. You're so amazing. Like, please do more. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm not asking you to say that. I'm not asking you to say that at all. Anyways. And you're very human to be a physicist. What if I'm not a human? What if I'm not a human? Look, I'm not even a human. Ready? I'm not actually human. See? I'm not human. I'm not even human. I'm not. It looks like I was, but I'm not. I've been fooling you guys the whole time. You guys got pranked. All right, bring out the cameras. Come on. They found out. Bring the cameras in. You can. That is it. That door. You can come in now. They figured it out. You can come out. You can come out now. You can open the door. You can come out. They figured it out. You know next time. Not right. Okay. You guys got it, but like they didn't want. They're being a little shy right now. You're being a little shy. They're just, but like you guys got it. You figured it out. So, I mean, the cameras just didn't want to figure it out. This is like the after party of a serious physics stream. That's true. That's actually very true. There might be a bonus live stream this week. There might be a bonus one. We might have an out of town guest that might happen to be here and be able to give a cool talk on something cool. So there might be a bonus one. Get in college at relatively... No, I got into college at 17. I started college at 17. And, was I basically 18 at that point? I think I was like 17, but then I turned 18 pretty quickly. I was turning 18 that year. So, I think that was a pretty normal... nothing... I think I just started school when my parents decided to start me in school. Did it every year normal. Got to college and went right from high school to college. Right to college to PhD. So like it kind of just put me on the younger side of things because I didn't really have any like delays in anything, but that got to me. I'm finally though, I'm no longer the youngest person in my lab. Finally not. There's a new person. There's 2 new students that just showed up. They showed up beginning of, I think last week was literally their first week. So last week was their first week, and one of them was born in 03. No longer the youngest one. Boom. Money. I am now not the young. I'm now no longer the youngling. Yo, hey, Bria. How's it going, Bria? Good to see you. What the best thing about this live stream? Do you like that, dude? Guess where I got this from? I want you to all guess how much you think I spent on this shirt. How much? This is embroidered. Look, this is like embroidered. Is it possible to show that? Look, it's like that's like embroidered on there. This is a sick shirt. I love this shirt. Can you guess how much you think in USD this cost? And where you think I got it? I bet you can't even figure it out. I'm also gonna once again, while you guys think about that, I'm gonna throw the just follow that. Give it a follow. I'm ancient. Think about inflation and taxes. I think I have a high delay on the stream. Do you think I can change the delay? Customization. But I swear there's a way I can change the delay, but I'm unsure how. $22. This was a $8 shirt from the Nike outlet. There was a bunch of random shirts in there. They were all like $20-$25, and then there's just this one sitting in there, and no one took it. And I was like, I feel like people aren't seeing the potential of this shirt around all these other shirts, but this shirt is the one that has the potential. So I was like, I'm gonna get this shirt, and I got $8 shirt. Isn't that nice? It was a steal. I love this shirt. It's like the embroidered part too is so cool. My t-shirt makes me more relatable. I'm glad. Yeah, there's like situations when I think it's good to wear like my CU physics shirt, and I think that one does well. But there's other situations I think are better to show other ones, to show other shirts. It makes you unique. Try to wear the shirt every single time now. See, now you gave me one compliment about the shirt, so now I'm gonna wear it like I'm never gonna wear another shirt now. To the point where you guys are like, you only wear this shirt, and then I'm just gonna the next time pretend you didn't say that and only wear a different shirt, and then you guys are gonna be really confused, and I'm gonna be like, what are you talking about? I never wore that shirt, and then no matter how much direct evidence you show me, I'm never going to admit that I ever wore this shirt. I love a good bit. Steal. It is a steal. Absolute steal. Do you ever wear it to the lab? Of course I wear this to the lab. I wear whatever I want to the lab. Do you think I dress up going to lab? This fit that I'm wearing right here, this fit, like this, do a 360. I wear this to lab any day. I wear this like shirt literally any day. It really doesn't, like, there's really no it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I wear. Any tips for a new student at CU Boulder? Oh, welcome to CU Boulder, dude. Join a club. The school's huge. Soup enthusiast, you're also going to be a new student? I forget, someone said that earlier. That might have been you. Someone said that earlier that they're also going to CU. But you guys are coming to CU. You're going to be new students. Join. It's a huge school. Do fun things. Meet cool people. And remember that there are a lot of smaller communities. Join the Rocket Club. I did my Rocket Club in undergrad. I was one of the leads of my Rocket Club in undergrad, and I think Rocket Club is one of the coolest things that you can do. I'm very biased, but you genuinely interact with so many different fields, and you learn so many cool things. But I would say join your Rocket Club. I'm like vouching right now for the CU Rocket Club. I don't know what it's called. I know they have a rocket team. Go to the meeting and join that club. And tell them I sent you. They will not know who I am. It'll be funny though. You can just tell them that, and they'll be really confused. But you can say it. And you can say, this guy online told me to come to this. Say my name, and then give no other context. I've never been to a meeting. I only know they have a club, and I just like rocket clubs because I did a rocket club. Do any other types of engineering project teams other than the rockets that are cool? If they have like one of those F1 teams, like the teams that build like the F1 cars, I don't know if they have that at CU, but like what are the ones? Those are really cool. I think those teams are so cool. Do you know? I'm so glad friends are being made now. We have new friends. YQ and Soup, you can be friends. You're friends now. You should be friends. You should exchange contact information with each other and be friends. Not in the chat. Don't do it in the chat. But you should. There's a way to do that separately. You should do that. You should do it separately. Be friends. You should come and have friends. Did you ever consider doing a PhD in Europe? For sure. I think like Zurich would have been sick. Germany has a ton of cool programs. There's a few people in our program that came from Germany, schools in Germany to here. I know there's a lot of people in the U.S. that like to go abroad to do their PhD, but doing your PhD in the U.S. is a very convenient when it comes to just the switch, because in the abroad you need like your master's, which is why a lot more people are coming from abroad to the U.S. because you can just go right from like boom to boom, but it's a little bit harder to go from U.S. to other else. I don't think I would have ever ended up going anywhere else, but I definitely had that moment where I was like, what if I just look into it? Like, what if I just quickly look into it? I'm starting an Earth Space Club in high school, but I'm wondering if it's worth the effort as it's more astronomy and I'm going into physics. Do focus more on like cosmology stuff then. There's a lot of cool things you can do with that. I think the coolest thing that you can do is start a club and learn the process of starting and growing a club. That's gonna be, that experience in itself is you're gonna learn a lot from it. Do you have a community Discord server or something? I have one that I share with another YouTuber right now. That is I the link is in the bio of the stream, I believe. So click that and click join. You can like totally join that. I'll probably make my own like just community for me right now, but you know I'm not that large and I can collaborate with other larger people. So I share one with other people. If you guys have ever seen Ali the Dazzling, his channel, I work with him, so we use the same. We have the same community right now. But yeah, if anyone knows his channel, that's who he helped me get into making content. Yeah, you even just starting in club is gonna do you up really well. Dacho. Dacho. I feel like that'd be like, and there's another life where that's my name. Instead of Dario, it's Dacho. There's definitely another world where that's my name. You talked about doing PCBs. How much do you know about EEE? A good amount. I did a lot of EE in my undergrad. I know a pretty good amount. I designed PCBs. I did a lot of RF electronics. I just did a presentation at a RF conference. My presentation I did was at an international RF conference surrounded by people in the RF subfield. I know a pretty good amount about EE. I'm sure the people who have the full degrees in EE and are actually specializing on it a lot more past their undergrad are going to already know more than me. But for someone I still know a pretty decent amount and I can do a lot of things in EE. Going to aerospace engineering, might get a minor in something. If you're going to aerospace engineering, join the Rocket Club. Join the Rocket Club. I almost did the aerospace PhD program. Fun fact, I got into CU for the physics PhD, the aerospace PhD, and the EE PhD, and then I was trying to decide which one I wanted to do. So I kind of narrowed it down where I was like, I'm going to do physics or aero, and then I ended up narrowing down and I decided on physics. Physics and aero are the top ranked programs at CU, and even then physics, the field of AMO physics, which is my field, is like very high ranked. So for me it was kind of like it's a top 5 program, and for me it was like I gotta take that opportunity. That's kind of why I decided on this. But yeah, why'd you start a YouTube journey? What would you like? Would you like to do that part-time or full-time? I think the dream goal is to be able to, when I finish my PhD, it's grown enough where I can just do this full-time. I really wanted to be a science communicator, and I feel like I'm in a good position to be able to be successful at that goal, and I want to be able to do stuff like that. I think there's a lot of really cool things that you can show in this space, and I want to be a vessel for being able to communicate a lot of those things to a lot of people and inspire you, and also try to address the problems of seeing how there's a lot of distrust in science and try to build more trust in science just through having very casual conversations with people and showing that all these people who are doing science, you would walk by them on the road or have full conversations with them and never be able to guess that they have PhDs or they are doing insane kind of like complex technical research. Those are most scientists. And I want to be able to show that that's a thing. And I think just doing that will be able to build more trust in science. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to do. And I kind of got motivated one day and I was like, we're going to do it. We're going to start making stuff. And we're starting making stuff. And we will not stop. It makes me very busy trying to consistently make content while also doing like full-time research and trying to manage classes and stuff. But I'm in it for the long haul. And I see no planet where I stop doing this and this doesn't work out. It's really just a matter of time. It's a matter of time until enough people just exposed to this where it starts picking it up. I definitely feel like it's really just going to keep growing until eventually we hit that critical point where it blasts off. Do you have any visualization skills like Blender, editing, motion picture graphics? I would love to get into like After Effects and something. To learn how to do kind of like animations like that. I don't know how to use Blender. I have friends that know how to use Blender. I can do things in like Fusion if that's even like modeling stuff like that, like a CAD software. I know how to make PCBs, so I know ECAD software too. And then I also know I have like obviously since I make videos, I know how to edit videos in like Premiere Pro. But definitely a big thing for me right now is that since I don't have like I don't have as much time. Like this isn't a full-time thing for me. I have something that, especially when the semester starts, that's already going to take up 60 hours of my week. But then I also want to put out content on top of that. What am I going to do? Well, that's where I have to be smart and I have to understand until I get to big enough where I can have someone that can help edit my videos. I have to make sure I balance trying to make it as simple as possible to put out content. I need it to not be extra. I need it to not require a ton of animation because I don't have that much time to be able to put into it. And I want to be able to keep growing the community. If I wait every 3 months to be able to put out something new, it's going to be a very, very, very slow process. And it's also hard to build that kind of connection with your audience because I think even if I just put out videos straight up, it would be hard for people to feel connected to me as a person, and I'm just going to be someone that's talking in front of a camera because in reality I am just a real person that is sitting in a room in a house that just like everyone else right now. And if you guys didn't know who I was a little bit more than just talking on a 10-minute video, I think it would be hard to kind of grow that connection to my audience and really grow the channel a lot. So it's about finding that balance for me. I've been addicted to learning Manum. It seems like such an interesting. Yeah, you know, Manum is cool. I used it for like very brief animations in one of my videos. I think it was actually the video that did pretty well. It was why physics is so hard. I think that one did really well. That's actually when I say that's my best performing video so far. I did very basic animation with that, and it took like 30 minutes each, but it's definitely a lot you can do with that. Manum is super cool. Yeah, yeah, you can definitely learn it pretty quickly. I definitely learned a little bit of it. I have some scripts I wrote, but even then, it's like it's really about optimizing the process even past that. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. I will keep up the good work. I appreciate it. But yeah, it's really just about like optimizing the process as much as I can to make it as efficient as possible. That's really what it's going to be good to focus on here. What apartments are the best and worst at Colorado for students? I'm looking into their. Oh, I see. I just live. I would recommend just finding a house, not. I mean, honestly, here's a good thing about Boulder. Everywhere's 15 minutes from each other, max. So it's not gonna be too big of a deal. Just kind of pick whatever you want. I really don't know how to recommend good or bad places, unfortunately, and yeah, I kind of jumped into a place last year, wasn't as good, and now we're finally moved into this place. This place I'm into now is way better. I'm so happy with this place. I'm so happy to have moved into a new place. But you kind of just figure it out. Just tour the places if you can, get a good feel for them, and you'll figure it out as you go. Especially if you hop into a lease with other people, then other people can vouch for you immediately. But you know, it'll work out. I promise it'll work out. Oh my god, that was the most silence we've had all stream. Wait, we're gonna do like 15 seconds of silence, and everyone's gonna tell me how it feels to have me not talking for a minute. And done. How was that? Was that nice? Was that relaxing? Did that feel like therapeutic in a way? I hope that felt nice, just for like a little therapeutic moment where it's like now we can breathe, now everything is okay, now we've reset, now we're calm. We harness our inner energy, and now we are calm. And now we answer questions very calmly because now we feel channeled inside. And we feel like we need to keep things interesting. It felt awkward? I don't think it would have felt awkward. I think you weren't harnessing your inner energy enough. That maybe if you closed your eyes and concentrate a little bit more, things would work out a little bit better. Any advice for physics engineering students? Well, funny enough for you, I have a degree in engineering physics. And my advice to you would be use the fact that you have a knowledge in both electrical engineering and physics and leverage that to find interdisciplinary projects. Get into research, figure out which of those classes stick out for you the most. And from doing that, you will figure it out. That's my recommendation. It was actually crazy. We did 15 seconds and like 5 people left. Isn't that crazy? 15 seconds of silence. Maybe I do got to keep talking then. That's kind of wild. Maybe I do just have to keep yapping. Is it personal? What was your undergrad GPA? That's okay. You can ask. It was a 3.9. What? As in renting a house, I'm looking and not living with roommates. Just a little pricey. The closer you are to campus, the pricier it's gonna be. But if you feel like you want to live outside of Boulder, a lot of people tend to later grad students tend to slowly drift a little bit closer to Denver out of Boulder because the pricing is a lot better. So if you want, look into the closer areas like that are just outside of Boulder. Like look into like Lafayette, look into like Broomfield. Broomfield's a little far. Broomfield will be fine. You can look into like Broomfield area, you can look into like Lafayette, which is nearby. If you want to go up to like Longmont, maybe Gun Barrel, which is still in Boulder, technically Boulder, but like it's not. A lot of those things will save money, especially if you want to live on your own, but you'll figure it out. It felt awkward, I understand. ASMR physics stream. I don't think if I tap this mic it would sound good because I can't hear it, so I don't want to start tapping the mic and then everyone's like ears start bleeding out. Oh no, corrected. Apparently we didn't lose all those people. Guys, sub to the channel if you haven't. If you haven't subbed to the channel, please subscribe and support so I can keep growing this. It's a slow process, but we're gonna get there. And I can't wait to get there with everybody. You are an inspiration, really. Were you here for the part where I was sitting on the floor? Or were you here only after that part and I started giving actual advice? Because I feel like some people that are here for the floor part would have been more confused than saying inspirational. I don't know. You floor people can give your opinion on that. But maybe the part where I was lying on the floor answering questions made people more so question their life decisions. I definitely steered somebody away from doing higher education because they were like, is this what I'm going to turn into? And your answer is yes. This is exactly what you'll turn into. Went to Ireland, dated a girl from Boulder. We went to Ireland, visited Black Mountain. She said, that's not a mountain, that's a hill. Dude, the mountains here are sick. Here, actually, let me see if I can find a cool photo for you. Yeah, let me look. Oh, also, since we definitely have new people here, you get to follow my Twitch so I can grow that. Just give it a follow. You just have to follow. You don't have to watch. Just gotta follow. Just for now. Just give it a follow. That's all I ask. I'm gonna see if I find a cool photo for you. I can open my Google Photos. I can't expose all of my photos. But I definitely have some cool photos I can show you of the mountains at like local parks here. Ooh, but we did hike up to this lake. I'm gonna show these things. Where's the switch button? Boom. Look at this. Isn't that sick? This is the backpacking trip. This is what we hiked up to. That's Zara. She is so cute. That was a dog that joined us on our adventure. But look at the dog. Sorry, not look at the dog. No, look at the dog. Look at the lake. Look at the Alpine Lake. Isn't that a sick view? Look at that. What an amazing view that is. So awesome. Such a cool view that we got to hike to that. What do you play? What do I play? What do you mean, what do I play? What lake is this? That's Gulpin Lake. Gulpin Lake. That was the hike. This is the Gulpin Lake Loop. You mean like, do I play like trumpet? Like an instrument? I can do mouth trumpet. That's mouth trumpet. That was a stim I figured out. But sick photo, right? I'll see if I can find another photo. And then we also had where is it? I'm trying to find a view of the view from campus. That's what I want to find. There's a really cool, there's a specific photo I'm looking for. But let me. He just shows up to every stream to display 2 new skills out of nowhere. I'm exhausting the skills I have. I'm exhausting all of them. Here's the photo. So this was like a really cool, like, this is when it's like not, when it's like kind of snowy, but not. What do I play on Twitch? Nothing right now. I literally made the account. This is the first time I've went live on the account. Just give it a follow, and my goal is to set that platform up so that when it comes to a point where I want to use it for something else, it's able to. But yeah, look, this is the view from campus here. So it was like not, we're at a lower altitude here. So this is the view from the physics building. Like, this is the top floor of the physics building. I was doing homework, and this is me looking out the window. And the ground where campus is, you're looking at campus right here, not snowy. But then you go up an elevation to the mountains, and it's just snowy. Isn't that sick? This is like such a cool thing to see. And as I'm doing homework, it was so cool. And I might be like, Dario, so this is the Gila Tower, your one you're seeing right here, and the one I'm in right now is called Dwayne Tower. So these buildings are taller than any other buildings on campus, and that is only because that Boulder, a year after these were built, made a rule that said buildings can only be so high in Boulder because they wanted to make sure everyone could get a view of the mountain. So no building could be too tall. But these buildings were built like 1 year or so before they made that rule. So these buildings are much taller, and the physics people, they get the best view. So this is the nice view you get. But a very gorgeous photo. Let me see. Soup enthusiast, thank you for joining me for the stream. I appreciate it. Catch another one soon. I hope to make these more consistent again. Or at least I feel like people might enjoy, even if I can't get a guest every single week, if we just turn on the camera and just yap for a bit. I feel like that is it's still decently successful. Insane homework, dude. It is a crazy homework view. There was like a big table and like a projector behind us too. When the World Series is on, we were just doing homework with a giant projector and the World Series on. It was sick. I don't even watch baseball, but other people like the World Series. But yeah, we're just like on the mountains. Like, the mountains are just like right there. It's kind of cool to be living at that like intersection of the mountains and not mountains. But yeah, I just want to show that off. Show off how cool that is. Good to see I have VS Code in the dead center of my taskbar. Oh yeah, yeah. VS Code's, it's got to stay there. Yeah, that VS Code's got to stay there. It ain't going away. VS Code not going away. Can't get rid of it that easy. But what are we near? Oh my god, we're past 3 hours. All right, I think it's a good time to probably end the stream. So we hit 3 hours. My from Italy. My family's from Italy. I'm not. I want to thank everyone here for joining. Thank you so much for joining the stream. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel, support the cause. But I hope to make these more consistent. I've been doing a lot of random stuff. I'm gonna go edit. I'm gonna go right to editing some video, the next video, working on that for the rest of the day. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day, a wonderful week. Stay tuned for more content, more cool conversations with people, and more sitting on the floor yapping. But that's really all I got for today. Thank you all. Genuinely, your support always means a lot, and yeah, that's all we got. So thank you everyone for joining, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye everybody. Bye. Take care. Well, I guess I'll the Twitch one first. Boom. Twitch one is now done. Twitch one is done. But bye. Now YouTube one. Bye. See you guys.